fit the profile of being a Steelers running back. A guy that's going to run hard, a guy that's going to uh, carry a couple of would-be tacklers with him for a couple of yards. Snell ran for a $113 on 19 carries, and he did a really nice job. Now, I will preface all of this by saying that it was against an absolute dumpster fire of a team in the New York Giants. They're a dumpster fire. They're not going to be very good this year. So I look at this, and it's a win. I look at this, and it is a victory against an NFL team, but the Steelers, they're going to be stepping up in competition pretty quickly. Their next game, by the way, against Denver, who looked reasonably well against Tennessee before falling to the Titans. Now, the Titans should have blown them out. I mean, their field goal kicker missed, 3 field goals and an extra point. So that's 10 points off the field. Or left on the field, I should say, and the Titans only won the game by 2 points. But Pittsburgh will take a slight upward trend in weight class when they take on Denver in their home opener. I thought the Steelers looked reasonably good. There was blown coverage in the touchdown pass from Jones to Slayton. I thought that was a blown coverage, mainly by Minkah Fitzpatrick, who was more interested in trying to stop the run. And, oh, by the way, they did a pretty nice job stopping Saquon Barkley. 15 carries, just 8 yards for Saquon Barkley. Actually, 6 yards on 15 carries. 20 carries, 29 yards overall for the Giants last night. I thought the Steelers did a great job of stopping Saquon Barkley. And I thought they did defensively, other than that blown coverage, I thought they were on point. Roethlisberger looked solid. He had a little hiccup with his elbow late in the first half, had to put some ice on it. But, other than that, I thought he looked solid. But the guy that I think made the engine run last night, and if he can continue to put up some nice numbers for the Steelers, it's going to take an awful lot of pressure off Ben Roethlisberger, and that's Benny Snell. I think if Benny Snell has a solid workman type of night like he did last night, I think the Steelers are in really, really good shape. I do. I think it was a solid win. Solid win for the Steelers. There's a lot of things they can improve on, but they are certainly they're certainly in the conversation for thumbs up. I haven't quite decided my thumbs up, thumbs down yet. I'm pretty sure my thumbs down, but my thumbs up I'm not quite sure about. So we want to play this game, thumbs up, thumbs down in the NFL. For week number 1. Let's go to the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning hotline. Tony, what's going on, brother?
Hi, Ron. You may have gotten to it. I hope I didn't cut your monologue off, but the polls are out, and it's good to see. It just gives you something to be interested in.
Yeah, I haven't talked about it, but we can definitely throw that out. The high school football polls are out, and smattering of the area is represented. That's always good, but it's more of a popularity poll than anything else.
Yeah, and to that point, I do have a comment to make on that. But let's backtrack to the soccer polls, and I wanted to throw out Howland, ranked number 2, and they did finish 2 in the state last year, and so that's good for them. They've got one tie this year, Canfield, who's ranked 12th in the same division. So watch those teams if you have any interest. We all have interest in local kids, so keep track of it. Howland looks really good. They're coming back with a lot of veterans this year.
Yeah, there's Howland, Canfield, Poland, D2. There's a number of soccer teams that are worth watching for sure. And then over in D3, Crestview is having a really, really nice year. South Range is having a solid year. I know Mooney's having a solid year. They're number 14 in the state of Ohio in D3, so that's good to see as well.
Yeah, fantastic. Now on the football polls, if I may, I think some of the rankings are very legit. And Kennedy at number 2 in Division 7. I think we've been looking at that all year. Springfield, yes, absolutely, considering what they did last year and who they have back. South Range, I think we've been talking about them. I mean, they seem to be a pretty solid team right now. The one that I question, and I'm not questioning the team, I wish this team the best. Hell, I wish they win a state championship over Hoban if they can. I don't care. It's a local team. But how does a writer give them a number one vote at this point?
Well, because that's the team that they're seeing, and they're going to represent their team. This is why the state polls are, and they are what they are. I mean, it's a popularity contest, and if you've only seen a certain amount of teams play and you have not seen any other team play, then your instinct is going to be, okay, I'm gonna go with the team that I have seen play, and that's going to be my vote. Let me put it to you this way, Tony. I'd much rather have someone do this than someone who has not seen anybody in Division II throw away their votes or have their votes cast on something that they haven't seen yet.
Let me turn this around. If you had a vote, you don't have to tell me who it is. If you had a vote and you've seen a little bit of Division II, you haven't seen all of Division II, could you give it to Austintown Fitch at this point? And again, I wish this team well. I hope they are a legitimate number one.
I wouldn't give the vote. Tony, I wouldn't vote.
Give it to them right now?
Tony, I wouldn't vote. And I say that because I don't like these polls for one reason and one reason only. Name me a person that has seen every single team in the state of Ohio. When you have seen every single team in the state of Ohio, then I'll be more than happy to accept your vote. Otherwise, don't go there with this vote. That's why I'm not a fan of the Associated Press poll. That's why I'm not a fan of a college football poll, because nobody or very few people have seen every single team. If you've seen every single team, now I can sit back and say, okay, now I've seen everybody. Now I can be educated enough to sit back and say, all right, this is my vote. Now, obviously, Akron-Hoban is a team that should be garnering a lot of Division II number one votes based on the fact that they've played really well. Would I vote for Akron-Hoban to be number one? No. You want to know the reason why? Because I haven't seen them. I haven't seen them. I haven't seen Toledo Central Catholic. I haven't seen Westerville South. I haven't seen Avon. I haven't seen Cincinnati Winton Woods. I haven't seen Hudson. I haven't seen LaSalle. These are the top 10 teams that I'm going down in order from the AP. I haven't seen any of them, Tony. So I wouldn't even be interested in voting.
And you haven't been taken to dinner for a steak and scotch by a Massillon representative either, right?
Well, I mean, not just Massillon, but all kinds of different. I mean, this is, Tony, all this is reputation. That's it. There's a reason why at the end of the year the state champion is more often than not the AP champion. There's a reason for that.
Yeah. Well, it's a long shot either way. Even if a Hoban does go the whole season at number one, that's still 6 more games they've got to play, and you can always have a stinker in there somewhere.
Oh, of course. So, of course. I mean, it's me. All this stuff is. I mean, it's nice. It's nice fodder for talk shows, but other than that, it's a popularity contest, and people are talking about schools that 99% of them haven't even seen. So,
well, but again, let me step back from that. At some point, the only thing I was objecting to is a number one vote. I see the way these schools are lined up, and I try to get a pretty good feel of what's outside this area too. I like to follow this stuff, and I think, damn, this is a pretty good representation. I think Warren JFK is playing really well, and they're a pretty stout team. I think a South Range deserve their ranking. I believe a Springfield deserves their ranking. I believe an Austintown Fitch deserves their number 12 ranking. I think it is. I don't think, or 13th ranking. I don't think that's a bad ranking. I just question Canfield at number 9. I think that's probably a sound ranking in Division 3.
Yeah.
I was just questioning the number one.
Look, I mean, again, if you're an editor or a person who votes here in the Valley, you're going to pick Fitch. I mean, Fitch is 3-0. They're off to a great start. You might as well, use your vote to give these guys a little bit of recognition because Lord knows they deserve it right now. Now, talk to me in 3 weeks, and let's see what Fitch does when they play Harding, when they play the number 12 team in the state according to the AP in Benedictine. And then when they play Steubenville, which I'm looking, and Steubenville is number 6 in Division III. So, their schedule is going to be pretty difficult the final 3 weeks of the season.
If they run the table on those next 3 teams, I'll give them my first place vote, okay? Hey, speaking of play, and please, Austin, you can call angry if you want. It's good for Ron's show probably, but I'm not putting down Austintown.
No, absolutely not. No,
I also think Austintown, what they have coming up is pretty impressive.
Yeah.
I've seen some of these kids before, and they're impressive kids.
Yeah, they have a tremendous program ahead of them, and this is just the tip of the iceberg. I think that you're going to be hearing an awful lot from Austintown Fitch for years to come, and I think what T.J. Parker has done in his very brief tenure over at Austintown Fitch, he is putting together a monster over there.
You know what? In a season like this may be perfect for Fitch, setting up for next year and the following year. The first thing you got to do is get your kids into the playoffs, and that happens automatically this year.
Yep.
And then if they could have a few playoff games. Again, if they run the table, fantastic. But if they have a few, 2-3 wins, boy, they really set themselves up for next year. You whet the kids' appetite for the off season. You expose them to what the level of competition they're going to have to aspire to. It really is a good thing for somebody like a Fitch.
No, absolutely. I mean, it's good for any program, but for a program that is that's trending upward and trending upward in a really, really good way, I think this is a perfect scenario for an Austintown Fitch, no question.
Can I speak about the playoffs real quick?
Yeah.
Remember, they have to declare by Thursday, and I'm seeing something interesting. I'm seeing schedules pop up post beginning of the playoffs. They've all left that first week vacant, but you see the second week after the first week of the playoffs, the first week after the first week of the playoffs, you see schedules popping up, and some of them are pretty extensive. They can play up to 10 regular season games.
Yes.
Outside of the playoffs. And some of the athletic directors looks like they're going to let their kids looks like they're going to make the decision to put them in the playoffs and then come back and say, with the realization they can cancel these games and the realization that they probably aren't going to, some of these teams aren't going to win that first game, they could still make some money and get these kids some playing time post-playoffs. On the point of playoffs, you guys have been on the Ohio High School Athletic Association, and I am not a person to take their side, and I won't take it this case. I heard that they are charging admission to these tournaments, not just they're not going to compensate the home team. They're requiring an admission fee to buy yourself into the playoffs.
Yeah, I'm going to have to look into that. It's something that I will I'll definitely ask around, and obviously we have a good relationship with Tim Street, and that's one of the things that I'm going to be more than curious to hear if that is the case. But yeah, Thursday is the deadline for the teams that you have to decide whether you want to go into the playoffs, and then from my understanding, the computer poll is going to have nothing to do with this whatsoever. It's going to be determined by, just like what is determined in all the other sports. Coaches get together, and the coaches will have a sheet of paper with all the teams that are planning on going into the postseason, and then you're going to be ranking them 1 through how many other teams are in the postseason, and then they'll tally up the points, and whoever has the most points gets seeded number 1, and then so on and so on, and how they're going to maneuver teams to go from 1 week to the next week. I guess it's going to determine where we are in terms of how many teams per region are going to be going into the postseason, which is one of the reasons why. And again, this is Monday morning quarterbacking at its finest. And I'm, I'm kind of guilty saying this, but I think it's a great idea post decision of OHSAA. I think what they should have probably done is, hey, top 24 teams in each region, you're going to the playoffs. If a 23rd or a 24 seed doesn't want to go into the playoffs, then you start asking the two teams below the 24th place in the computer poll, do you want to go into the postseason? And just leave it at 24.
That is a good thing. You ask if it's 27 teams in the region, all 27 coaches vote the rankings, and then you try to achieve 24. If you don't have 24, there'll be some first round buys.
Yeah, well, I mean, if it's 24, what they would do is follow the FCS template, where the top eight seeds would get
first round buys in that first round, which would be. Normally, you would be transferring eight to the round of 16.
Yeah.
But in this case, you may transfer 7 plus a bye or something.
Yeah, I mean, if you have 24, then the top 8 seeds would have a bye. You'd have 9 versus 24, 10 versus 23, 11 versus 22. The 8 winners, and then you mash them in with the top 8 seeds, and then you have a field of 16 for the second week of the playoffs, field of 8 for the third week, field of 4 for the fourth week, field of 2 for the fifth week, state semifinals, 6th week, state championship, 7th week.
Yeah. So, yeah. You got to get down to 16. That's your goal, and depending on how many you have the first round, you got to get to 16. So,
yeah, absolutely.
One more point, and this is my opinion, and you know how I've bashed them all along, and I'm not going to stop now. This feels like a telethon for the Ohio High School Athletic Association. That's what it's starting to feel like. And you and I, in our personal life, have to put money aside. This seems like an organization that has never been frugal with their money. And anybody who knows anything about them, they throw some pretty elaborate parties at certain times for certain people. And I'll leave it at that.
Well, look, I mean, they lost a ridiculous amount of money in the spring sports. They lost an even larger amount of money in the winter sports. Now, one can argue that they probably recouped some of that money insurance-wise from COVID. But, I mean, look, it's no secret. I mean, if you're inviting everyone to the state playoffs and you're no longer going to be giving the gate to the home team in the state playoffs, that all the money goes to the OHSAA, it's pretty obvious that the OHSAA is looking to recoup money that they lost last winter and last spring. I get it, and hopefully,
Ron, I think they've always when they take over, they come in and take over the facility. They don't. So they have always claimed the gate for these playoff games.
But they've
always compensated the local program. And here's how the programs got confiscated. Hosting sites got all the concessions, and there's big money to be made on concessions. If you have limited availability of ticket sales, there is no concession sales, and most of these places already don't have concession sales. There's no compensation, and I think there was probably some limited money they gave them to cover lights, and they always cover officials, but that may have transferred to the local school too now.
No, exactly. They normally gave enough money to compensate for the ancillary people that are taking care of it, the timekeeper, the scorekeeper, the referees, the ambulance, or the police and whatnot. They gave a certain amount of money to cover all of that, and then they would take the rest of the money. They're not giving any money to cover any of that in any sport this year, from what I am being told. And we'll when we get Tim Street on, we'll get to the bottom of that. But from what I'm being told, the OHSAA is not going to give any money to any of the host sites for any of that this year. Now, if it's just this year, again, they can use the argument, well, we're trying to recoup as much money. Okay, all well and good. If this is a habit, then yeah, we have a serious problem on our hands.
Now, are they going to allow you to continue broadcasting throughout the playoffs?
That's a million dollar. That's $1 million question, Tony. They have a deal with Spectrum, and they, to my knowledge, and this is more of higher ups than me, but to my knowledge, the OHSAA has not reached out or has not made an official word one way or the other on what the what organizations like YSN, because there's a couple of organizations around the state of Ohio doing what YSN is doing, and there's some local TV stations that the OHSAA hasn't said anything. So I'll be curious to see once the state playoffs start if we're going to be allowed to continue doing what we're doing full bore.
They own everything when it comes to the playoffs. They come in and they own the facility and they own the game. So it'd be interesting. And you said they haven't reached out. When the Ohio High School Athletic Association reaches out, it's going to be with their palm up.
Well, look, I mean, it's their show. It's their show. I mean, if enough schools to get together and say we don't want to have this show anymore, then the OHSAA will disappear. But it's their show. I mean, now, and let me say, and I've said this for years, the OHSAA, and if you dislike them, that's all well and good. Without the OHSAA, we have the wild, wild west on our hands, and we have no policing of anybody in any way, shape, or form. And as much as people may not like some of the things that the Ohio High School Athletic Association stands for and some of the things that they do, the one thing that they do that makes things tolerable in terms of fair competition is they have policed the state of Ohio enough to where we don't have a wild, wild west mentality.
The Ohio High School Athletic Association is a subsidiary of the national organization. It's not an independent group. So
no, but
just want to throw that out there.
Yeah, but by the same token, if enough schools said we don't want you around, then they would cease to exist.
Agree, and we won't do it now. We're running on here, and you know what? If I'm wrong about any of this stuff, please call in and say I'm an idiot and I don't know what I'm talking about, because that's what this forum's about.
You're not
going to hurt my feelings.
Yeah, I mean, Tony, it's the same thing with the PIAA in the state of Pennsylvania, the TSSAA in the state of Tennessee. I mean, they have their, this is their guidelines. These are their rules. Everyone abides by all of the rules, and they do what is best for all the schools in the state. I mean, it's
Well, let me give you an example of one scenario, and this is from a dozen years ago or so. There's actually a middle school state championship in track and field now.
Yes.
And I think that's fun for these kids.
Absolutely.
But it was never Ohio High School Athletic Association. There is another organization that does the indoor track season. It's a coaches association. They do the indoor track season. They were doing the state championship in the middle schools.
Yeah.
Once the Ohio High School Athletic Association realized there was money in that, guess who has taken over that state championship?
Of course,
the Ohio High School Athletic Association.
Yeah, because they're the governing body.
I think they actually came in and took over the indoor season also.
Because they're the governing body. I mean, of course. Now, I mean, you brought up the magic word. I mean, if there's money involved, of course they're going to be interested in that. If there's not any money involved, well, they're. I understand exactly where you're coming from, but if there's money involved, you can bet your ass they're going to take that over, and they're going to try to make as much money as possible.
Let's be honest about one thing. There's stupid amounts of money available to sponsor amateur athletic events. Parents want to see them. Parents will throw money at them. Parents are happy to pay admission fees to these things. I'll just throw it out there. there's people out there making a lot of money on youth athletics.
Of course. Absolutely. And in some ways, I'll flat out say it. In some ways, it's the biggest con artist game in the history of con artists. It absolutely is.
Yeah,
especially when it comes to the people that are going to, and not everyone, because I'm not going to say everyone is in this, but there's certainly some shady dealings in which you're going to sit back and go, well, I can make your kid better by doing this, and this, and you give me an obscene amount of money, and I'm going to make your kid better. Pfft, please. Yeah, I've seen enough of those. I've seen enough of those con artists
in every sport.
Oh my God, absolutely.
In every sport. Okay, well, thanks for letting me roll on. But find out about if they're requiring the schools to pay to contribute or to participate, and ask them if that's the way it's been in the past.
Well, I know it hasn't been that way in the past. That I can tell you for sure. That schools have never paid to go into the playoffs. That I'm 100% sure on. But as far as whether they need to do it this year or not, it's a legitimate question. We'll ask Tim Street the next time we have him on. Tony, I got to get your opinion. Give me a thumbs up and thumbs down on week number 1 of the NFL season. Who did you like, and who person, team, front office? Give me a thumbs up and a thumbs down for week 1 of the NFL.
My thumbs up's going to be Josh Allen. I think he took another step forward.
Yeah, he was mediocre in some ways.
Yeah, in some ways. He made a good comment about the 2 fumbles. He said, "Listen, I really haven't been hit in what, 10 months? So there's some focus he's got to regain there."
He has a fumbling problem.
I got to give a thumb down to the kicking throughout the league.
Yeah.
And I don't know how many missed field goals. Cincinnati ties it up at the end of that game, and they play on. They missed a field goal. You had 2 missed in the Buffalo game. These are just games I saw. What about the Cleveland game? Didn't that kid miss a couple?
Oh yeah, and Austin Seibert has already been waived by the Cleveland Browns, and word is the Bengals are claiming the kicker off of waivers from the Browns. He'll be ready to kick against the Browns on Thursday night.
So that I guess other than me, patting Josh Allen on the back, which he's, I treat him like a son more, but I guess it's too early for me to judge. But I would give the thumbs down to the Browns' performance, I guess.
Yeah, that's. I'm kind of generalizing, but every part of that game, the offense was awful, the defense was awful, the special teams was awful.
Njoku was good.
Yeah, I mean, he was okay. I mean, yeah. At least he caught it. At least he caught the ball, and now he's on injured reserve. So,
is he really?
Oh yeah, he did something to his knee apparently. So,
well, let me throw something out, and as we perpetuate this narrative about the dancing bear and he can't catch and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Let's remember who got him hurt last year. Do you remember the play he got hurt on and why he got hurt?
I'm drawing a blank.
Well, he was a 7-foot high jumper in high school, and he used every bit of his leaping ability to go up and get a ball that Baker Mayfield sailed on him on the sideline. And he got drilled and came down on his head, his wrist, I think is what he hurt last year, right? His wrist.
Yeah.
He had the concussion. That's why. So it's not like from lack of effort from this kid.
No, I mean, it's
his
just I wish
last year was direct result of him going up after a ball that was sailed.
Well, I just wish he would catch the ball consistently. That's his job, and he doesn't know how to do that. So
you keep saying that, but if we go back to his statistics and his drop balls versus this diva they got up there, this number 13.
I get that, but Tony,
compare those two. If we're going to bash people, bash the guy who's getting all the money.
Tony, I've bashed Odell Beckham Jr. just as much, but here's the difference. They throw to Odell Beckham Jr. twice as many times as they throw to Njoku. And Njoku has...
Drops are based on percentage, and I don't follow those stats enough. I'm sure Champ Summers can compare the two. I'm sure he follows it.
Yeah, and Njoku's drop percentage is a little higher than Odell's, but both of them dropped way too many passes. You're not going to get any. You're not going to get any argument
comes
from
on
me.
the air and tells me that, I'll believe it.
Yeah, you're not going to get any argument from me that Odell doesn't drop passes. That's one of the reasons why I don't consider him an elite receiver, because he drops way too many passes. I mean, he makes ridiculous catches. But he drops his share of passes, and that's why I don't consider him to be an elite receiver.
Hey, I'm going to go, but the dancing bear narrative. I'm glad these kids are out there having fun, and you know what? Go out there and have fun, entertain us, and make the efforts, which he did when he got hurt last year.
Listen, I'm fine with him dancing, but when you're down by 28 points and you're celebrating a first down, get your stupid ass back in the huddle and stop being an idiot. You're down by 28 points. Stop dancing. If you want to do that when your team is up, that's great. You're down 28 points. You got nothing to dance about.
He would never get a chance to dance. He's on the Browns.
Well, then there you go. Start winning games then.
That'll get you some Brown skulls. I'll see you later, my friend.
See you, man. 330-886-0813, the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning hotline open for business. Now, I got no problems. If the person wants to dance, that's great. Just make sure you're not down by 28 points when you do it, or you're down in general. What the hell are you dancing for when you're down? The hell are you celebrating when you're down? Oh, you want to celebrate when you're up? Okay, that's all well and good. I mean, it's almost as dumb as pimping a home run when you're down by 4 runs. Oh, yeah, I just hit a home run that got us to within 4, but I'm going to pimp the home run going up the first baseline. Really? Put your head down, run around the bases, act like you've been there before, and don't be stupid. You're losing. That's one of the things that has absolutely mind-boggling for me, is when a person or a player on a team and their team is losing, and you're going to do something that, frankly, that's what you're paid to do. Do something that you're paid to do, and your team's losing, but you're still going to celebrate. Really? You guys are losing. What are you celebrating? Now, if you're winning, okay, great. You can have all the celebration you want because you're winning a game. You can have all the celebration you want. If you're losing, what is this? What is this? What are you kidding me? This is no. Please. All right, Doug Chapin from the Vindicator and Tribune Chronicle will be joining me at 1 o'clock. Dan Bertolini, the YSU baseball skipper, will be chiming in at 2:20. I got to work on my thumbs up for week number 1, but there's no question the thumbs down for week number 1 of the NFL goes to the Browns. I mean, that's just and look, I said this last week. I'll say it this week. I'm giving them a hall pass because you have a brand new coach in a brand new system with no preseason. Look at all the teams with first-year coaches this year. They went a collective 1-4 this week. 1-4. The one team that won, Ron Rivera of the Washington Redskins. Now, if you take Rivera and McCarthy out of the equation because they have previous head coaching experience in the NFL, you take those two guys out of the equation, what do you have left? You have Carolina's coach, Cleveland's coach, and the New York Giants coach. Browns got drilled. Carolina looked okay against Las Vegas, at least offensively. They looked good. Defensively, they were poor. And the Giants really didn't look all that great, although, again, Jones has some potential. But he threw a couple of picks last night. And other than that blown coverage by the Steelers' secondary in the second quarter, the Giants really didn't score all that much. You know, you had a gift touchdown in garbage time, another touchdown pass to Slayton. So you take those 13 points off the board, you're looking at 3 points scored by the Giants last night. They didn't really do all that much. And the Steelers' defense didn't really, and against the pass, they really didn't play that great of a game. Against the run, they were on point. So when you have a coach in his first year and he's never had any experience in the NFL as a head coach, yeah, you need all the preseason that you can get. You need all of that time that you can get. And unfortunately, you didn't have a preseason. So I'm more than happy to give the Browns a hall pass because of the fact they didn't have a preseason. Now, week number 2 is 2 days from now. They're going to be taking on Cincinnati Thursday night. What do the Browns do? Well, let's go. Let's see what we got here. If the Browns can get a victory over the Bengals and look good in the process, okay. I think a lot of sins will be forgiven, or not. And I don't want to necessarily say that. I think a lot of people will slow down on the bashing. They'll slow down on the bashing if the Browns can get a victory over the Bengals. Are they going to do it? No, I mean, we'll find out in a couple of days. We'll find out. Look, one thing I know about this team is this team should be a run-oriented team. And based upon what the Bengals did Sunday against the Chargers against the run, I like Cleveland's chances, provided they have a steady dose of Chubb, a little bit of Hunt on the side, and just be a running team first. I think the Browns can win this game. So we'll wait and find out what goes on. My thumbs up, I got to work on it, but my thumbs down, it's definitely the Browns in week number 1. All right, 330-886-0813. The MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline open for business. We'll take a timeout. On the other side, we will get to the AP poll, both in high school football as well as boys and girls soccer. There is some representation, and we'll get to that in just a bit. It is a Tuesday edition of Running Points. Coming up at the top of the hour, we'll hear from Doug Chapin, and we'll get Doug's views on high school football through the first half of the season, as well as some other things going on throughout the Mahoning Valley. Back with more after this timeout. Stick around.
21 News.
Let's get right to our top story tonight.
More experienced reporters.
A new Wilmington restaurant.
GM Lordstown.
Telling more local stories.
We'll look at efforts
Boy
to
is
curb
recovering from a broken.
Around our valley.
Community in Niles. We are here in Youngstown, right up.
Because you expect
It's important for everyone. No place like home.
more local news.
In Mercer County Court.
21 News is our valley's #1 local news.
Welcome home to a home made homier with Baird Brothers Fine Hardwoods. Inspiration starts at BairdBrothers.com and is turned into reality when high-quality hardwoods are delivered right to your home. Baird Brothers has the latest design trends, shiplap and skinny lap interior siding, antique oak rustic flooring, and, well, you'll find them all at BairdBrothers.com. Ordered easily, delivered conveniently, enjoyed comfortably. BairdBrothers.com.
Attention football fans, order Coca's Pizza tailgate package for only $54.99. You'll receive 24 slices of our delicious cheese pizza, 20 jumbo wings, and 2 of our famous foot-long pepperoni rolls. Coca's Pizza, we serve it hot.
Hi, this is Tommy Clem, owner of WRS Insurance Solutions.
WRS Insurance Solutions is a local independent agency that specializes in life, Medicare, long-term care, and disability products. Call us at 330-953-3722 or visit us at wrsinsuranceSolutions.com to learn more.
Good luck to all the student athletes in the Valley.
Your Armstrong services are more important than ever. There are more and more connected devices in the home these days. To get the most out of your experience, you need a network that is always getting better. You deserve superior performance, and that's what Armstrong offers every day. Whether you're working from home, enjoying your favorite content together, or simply catching up while apart, count on Armstrong to keep you connected to what matters most.
Welcome back to a Tuesday edition of Running Points on ysnlive.com. Ron Potesta with you. MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline open, 330-886-0813. All right, let's take a look at the AP state football poll as well as the boys and girls soccer poll. We have no teams in Division 1, so we go to Division 2. Austintown Fitch, number 13 in the state of Ohio, according to the first AP poll. They do have one first-place vote. I'm willing to bet where that first-place vote came from. Austintown Fitch, number 13 in the state of Ohio, according to the Associated Press. Division 3, Canfield has a first-place vote. They are number 9 in the state of Ohio. Hubbard is number 14. We have nobody in Division 4. Division 5, South Range picks up 2 first-place votes in the state, and they are number 4 in the state of Ohio. Garrettsville Garfield is currently number 13 in the state of Ohio. Division 6, Springfield picks up 2 first-place votes. They are number 5 in the state of Ohio. And number 7, or Division 7, I should say, Warren JFK is number 2 in the state of Ohio. They have picked up 1 first-place vote. So congratulations to Warren JFK, Springfield, Garrettsville, Garfield, South Range, Hubbard, Canfield, and Austintown Fitch. They are in the first AP poll, courtesy of the Associated Press. All right, let's take a look at the soccer poll. Division 2, boys Division 2, by the way, this is the Ohio Scholastic Soccer Coaches Association poll. Howland is number 2 in the state of Ohio in boys Division 2. Canfield is ranked number 12, and Poland is right up there as well, although they don't have an exact ranking for the Bulldogs. Crestview is number 8 in the state of Ohio in boys soccer Division 3. Cardinal Mooney is number 14, and South Range is also hanging around there as well, as they picked up some votes, but not enough to clear the top 15 in the state of Ohio. Girls rankings, Division 2, West Branch is number 7 in the state of Ohio. Canfield is number 15 in the state of Ohio. Girls Division 3, Springfield is number 8 in the state, and Ursuline and South Range are picking up some votes as well. So congratulations to the West Branch, Canfield, Springfield, Ursuline, and South Range soccer programs, the girls' soccer programs, getting recognized in the first of the Ohio Scholastic Soccer Coaches Association soccer poll. And in the boys' side, congratulations to Howland, Poland, Crestview, Cardinal Mooney, and South Range. By the way, Cardinal Mooney will be playing South Range, I want to say tonight. They're playing each other over at South Range High School. So a couple of statewide programs, according to the first Ohio Scholastic Soccer Coaches Association poll. So I believe those two teams, they will get together tonight from South Range High School. So that should be pretty cool. All right, 330-886-0813. That is the number to call. We talked about the football. Here's your non-conference schedule for the week 4 of the high school football season. Harding visits Fitch. Boardman is at Howland. Canfield travels to Dover. That'll be their first and only road game of the year. This next game, Warren JFK will be traveling to Garrettsville to take on Garrettsville Garfield. Kirtland is at Grand Valley, Windham at Ashtabula St. John. Steel Valley Conference game, lone game in the SVC. East is at Ursuline. In the Northeast, 8 on Friday night. Struthers is at Niles, Hubbard at Girard, Poland at Lakeview, South Range at Jefferson. In the Mahoning Valley Athletic Conference gray tier, it'll be Champion at LeBray, Camel at Liberty, Brookfield at Newton Falls. By the way, another non-conference game, Crestview will go to East Liverpool to take on the undefeated Potters. That should be an entertaining game as well. Mahoning Valley Athletic Conference Scarlet tier, Lowellville is at Springfield, Mineral Ridge at McDonald, Jackson Milton at Western Reserve. Blue Jays looking to start 4-0 for the first time in quite some time. And Sebring will be at Waterloo, a battle of two winless teams, both teams looking for their first victory of the campaign. Eastern Buckeye Conference, West Branch will travel to Carrollton. West Branch looking to go 4-0. Carrollton 2-1 on the campaign. Marlington goes to Salem to take on the 1-2 Quakers. The Marlington Dukes 1-1. Northeastern Athletic Conference, Matthews is at Chalker, and Pie Valley is at Fairport Harbor. A couple of undefeated teams there. In the EOAC, the Eastern Ohio Athletic Conference, Lisbon at East Palestine, Columbiana at Southern, Valley Christian at United, and Leetonia at Wellsville. All of those games on Friday will start at 7 o'clock. Saturday night, another Steel Valley Conference game. Cheney will take on Cardinal Mooney from Stambaugh Stadium. Cheney looking for their first victory of the season. Cardinal Mooney looking to go 2 wins and 2 losses on the campaign. So there's your high school football schedule for the area, and we're going to be busy once again. So make sure you keep it tuned to ysnlive.com, whether you want to watch your favorite team play, paying $9.99 for the pay-per-view, or if you want to watch the Audible Call with Mike Ackelson. We definitely have you covered starting Friday nights on ysnlive.com. All right, MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline open, 330-886-0813. That's 330-886-0813. I'm going to give my thumbs up. I gave my thumbs down, and this is something we're going to do every Tuesday. You give a thumbs up and a thumbs down into the National Football League. My thumbs up is going to go to the Washington football team. Let's be honest. The team formerly known as the Washington Redskins, they weren't supposed to be a good team this year. They're not supposed to be. They're not supposed to be any good. And yet the Washington Football Club was able to, after going down 17-0, they scored the final 27 points. And they were able to get a victory over the Philadelphia Eagles. So my thumbs up will go to the Washington Football Club. My thumbs down, it's going to be to the Browns. And I will preface this by saying better days are ahead for the Browns. There's no two ways about it. I expected them to get blown out in week number 1 simply because they did not have a preseason, and a preseason is extremely important for first-year coaches, especially first-year coaches that have no prior head coaching experience. There's a reason why first-year coaches went 1-4 in week number 1 of the NFL. I'm just saying. So there you go. By the way, I can also say very proudly, and let me just say I am doing all of the games with the point spread, and I went 9-6-1 this week. Went 2-0 last night. So 9-6-1 is my week 1 total, and if you follow me on Facebook, you probably saw this. I'll throw this out. If you based all of the games, and there were 16 total, if you base this on $20, if you were to put $20 in all 16 games, that's a $48 profit. If you put $30 on all 16 games, a 9-6-1 record is a $72 profit. If you bet $50 on all 16 games, a $120 profit this week. And finally, if you put $100, if you put a Benjamin on every single game this week, you walked away with a $240 profit. That is, if you saw my numbers. And that is week 1, 9 wins, 6 losses, 1 push. I will do mine again starting Thursday, late Thursday afternoon, early Thursday night. I will have my pick for the Browns-Bengals game. I believe the line is currently at 6.5, somewhere in that vicinity. By Thursday, I'll figure out where we're going with our selection. But I think it's kind of fun that I'm gonna do this all year long. I'm going to be picking all of the games against the spread, and hopefully I can finish above water. Fictional water. Let's keep that in perspective. Fictional water. I don't have money to put on all of these games. I wish I did. All right, 330-886-0813. We will hear from Vindicator/Tribune Chronicle sports editor Doug Chapin. He's coming up just around the corner. It is a Tuesday edition of Running Point on ysnlive.com.
Hello, I'm Greg Burbick with G. Burbick Farms. For the last 100 years, my family has farmed in Columbiana and Mahoning counties. I began raising cattle in 1996 with the goal of providing a better product for you and your family on the dinner table. Our grass-fed and grain-supplemented Black Angus beef are raised with no hormones, steroids, or antibiotics. We're known for our hometown-friendly service and incredible tasting products. We're locally owned and have customers across the tri-state area. Our products go from our farm to your family. Stop by our farm on New Buffalo Road or visit us on the web at gburbickfarms.com. Don't forget to like us on Facebook. G. Burbick Farms, it just tastes better.
To help you with your Medicare needs.
Myers Family Insurance looks forward to helping you now for years to come, so call our family today and remind them how cute we are.
Myers Family Insurance continues to be the area's resource for all your Medicare and retirement needs. Call today, 330-286-3044.
Welcome back to a Tuesday edition of Running Point on ysnlive.com. It is hour number 2. Potesta with you on this Tuesday afternoon. MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning hotline will be open soon, but right now we go to the aforementioned hotline where we find the sports editor of both the Vindicator and the Tribune Chronicle, Mr. Doug Chapin. Doug, how are you today, sir?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful. Okay, so we're halfway through a COVID-shortened 2020 high school football season. Give me a couple of teams that, in your mind, have exceeded expectations in our area, and a couple of teams that you're still waiting to see them get some stuff going here.
As far as depends on whose expectations we're talking about here, but I'd say Ursuline has been a pleasant, I don't want to say surprise, because, I mean, they felt they were getting better coming off of last year. And I'm not sure I'm not sure many people out there thought Hubbard would be 3-0 at this point. And then Jackson Milton's had a good start too at 3-0. So I suppose those three. On the reverse side, I know Harding isn't happy with a 1-2 record. Massillon though is a tough game. Boardman's probably not happy with their 1-2 record. I think they thought they were going to be, end up with a better record at this point. Let's see. I suppose Niles too is another one. I think they thought they would be better than 1-2. At this point, they had a lot of optimism going into the season.
Doug, I look at Harding's schedule, and if you're going to be 1-2 and you're taking on Benedictine and you're taking on Massillon, that's a really, really tall order. Harding has a very, very difficult schedule year in and year out, and that's the one thing with Harding, and with all the teams being eligible for the playoffs. Harding is a club that I would not want to face early on in the postseason.
Yeah, and that's obviously one of the many interesting things about this season is that you can schedule, and that's the first part of the interesting thing is they changed the schedules shortly before the beginning of the season. So when you went out and did that, you could go into it with the idea like you do in basketball. Let's play as tough a schedule as we can because it doesn't matter how many of these games we win because we're going to be in the playoffs anyway. Now, it will affect your seeding, but you hope that when the coaches, call in or log in or whatever and do their voting, you hope that they'll realize, hey, this team played a really good schedule. I'm not going to vote them way down here, for the seeding. So, it's a really interesting situation, and a strong schedule and losing games against a strong schedule will not punish you as much as it could have in the past when there was a chance you wouldn't make the playoffs if you lost too many of those games.
I get the feeling there are going to be a lot of coaches looking at a Harding, looking at a Boardman, looking at some teams that similarly have put together really, really tough schedules, and their record might be suffering because of that. But everyone's invited to the state playoffs, so I get the feeling that there are going to be coaches that are going to be looking at this, and some will be downright wanting to avoid looking at the prospects of playing a Warren Harding in the first round because, look, in the first round, normally your first round matchup should be a matchup that should be relatively easy if you're in the first round of the tournaments.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, they're both solid teams, and if everything goes right, they could beat anybody they play out there. Obviously Massillon is really, really good too, and I think the Harding people think they should have won the Benedictine game. But yeah, that's true. That there are going to be in all divisions throughout. There are going to be teams that don't have that really good a record, but are really good teams because they play the tougher schedule. Now the ones who are playing all league schedules, there's not much they can do as far as strengthening it. But and the interesting thing to me, I'm going to be curious to see. I think that in some divisions, you're going to have quite a few more teams that opt to play in the playoffs than in other divisions. And we're going to find that some divisions will have one more round than other divisions do because they've got more teams, that decided to sign up for it.
Yeah, this is going to be really interesting, and I made this comment yesterday, and obviously it smacks of Monday morning quarterbacking in regards to what the OHSAA has decided to do. But, it seems to me, Doug, what they could have done was instead of invite everyone, just have the top 24 teams in each region where the top 8 seeds would have a bye. You'd have 16 teams playing each other. The 8 winners of those teams in the first round of the playoffs would go to be seeded up against the top 8 teams. Then you'd have a field of 16 for week number 2, a field of 8 for week number 3, a field of 4 for week number 4, championship region in week 5, state semifinals in week 6, state championship game in week 7. But, again, that's Monday morning quarterbacking at its finest by me, I guess.
Well, if that's 7 weeks of playoffs plus 6 weeks of this 13, I think they worked backwards, and I think the way they did it is they took, what was the date, November 21st?
Yes.
They worked from there and said, we are not going to play any more games after November 21st. No playoff games. So the state championships have to be then. And I think that's how they worked forward to get where they got to. It's easy enough to look back and say, oh, we should have done this, they should have done that. The one thing I think we've already seen, we got a note from Sebring last night. They sent us an announcement that they are opting out of the tournament, the playoffs. They are not going to play, and they have scheduled Matthews for that week 7 for a regular season game, and then they've got their week 8, 9, and 10 schedule set also. So they're the first that we've seen or heard of that has decided that that's what they're going to do. And many of the schools, when they send in schedules at the beginning of their revised schedules, they penciled in opponents in weeks 8, 9, and 10, assuming they were going to lose in week 7. And, they wanted to have things set up for the last 3 weeks. So there are going to be teams that, are going to keep playing in week 8, 9, 10, whether they lose in the first round of the playoffs or just don't even play. So it'll be really interesting to see, because what's going to happen is if the state, to your idea about 24 teams, there may be regions, what were originally regions, that don't have 24 teams that are playing. So what I think the state is going to do is they're going to say, okay, we have a total of 90 schools in this particular division that are going to play in the playoffs. So they're going to divide that into half and then half again. So they'll set up new regions, and the regions may not look at all like the regions they were intended to look like at the beginning of the season. But I think that's going to, and it's going to really affect a lot of things once they figure out the regions, and then they vote with the seeding and all that stuff. So it'll be a really wild situation as far as figuring out who's going to be in the playoffs and then how they're going to be set up that way.
I would hope, and Sebring is the first, and I'm sure there's going to be a small amount of teams in this area that are going to opt out of the playoffs, but I would hope that everyone would at least allow the seniors to be given a vote or to at least have their voices heard, because for those kids, this is it. I have no idea if Sebring decided to go in that direction or not, but I would hope. Okay, and that's good, and that's the way it should be. That's the way it should be. Let me ask you, Doug, do you anticipate a low or a somewhat medium-sized number of teams in this area that are going to opt out like Sebring?
I think there will be more than people think there are going to be. I think the number that opt out is going to be larger than we expect. Part of it is protection from the kids that they going up against the Mogador. If you're in the situation that Sebring or a Matthews or somebody like that is, or Chalker, going up and playing against a Mogador or somebody like that isn't going to help much. You get the experience of playing in the playoff game, yes, but ask basketball players how much that really meant to them at the end of the season when they go in and they go play in a tournament game and they lose 80-30. Is that something they're going to remember for the rest of their lives, or just try to forget? So, the release for Sebring said they talked to the coaches, the players, administration, et cetera, before they made the decision. And I think, and I may be the only one who thinks that, but I think that it's going to be more, not more doing that, but more than most people think are going to do that, opt out of the playoffs.
Okay, we have 45 teams in Trumbull, Mahoning, and Columbiana counties. So we currently have one team that is officially opted out. Thursday's the deadline, correct, Doug?
I believe so.
Okay. Are we looking at, say, 9 more teams, or are we looking fewer than 10 or more than 10?
I'd say right around 10, which I think is I think most people would have thought at the beginning of the season that there might be 4 or 5 or 6, but I think it's going to be closer to 10, 11 in that range. And again, that's just guessing on my part. I may be totally off base. Those the two. Sebring is going to play Matthews in week 7. So.
Well, that means Matthews is going to be out.
Yeah, and the interesting thing is they're playing that game on a Thursday night because Friday is going to be the first night of the playoffs. So and I assume that will be the Thursday night is partially having to do with making sure you can get officials, because the officials will be very busy on Friday night.
Absolutely, and that poses another question, and I talked with John Mang. Look, I mean, if we have some teams that are going to be going into the playoffs, you better be scheduling these games on a Thursday night. These non-playoff games better be going on a Thursday night. Otherwise, you're going to have a really difficult time trying to get officials for these non-playoff type of games.
Certainly, yeah. And that's, like I said, their game is Thursday night. And I don't know what I don't recall whether the state provided any guidance on playing Friday night or Saturday night for the playoffs. In the past they've had it set up where, certain divisions play Friday and the other divisions play Saturday. That may still be the case this year. I don't know. I don't recall reading that in the, before the season started. So, but yeah, this will be really interesting because you have this feeling in basketball and the other sports leading up into the week where the seeding is done and announced. The coaches usually have all week to sign in and input their seeding, their voting, and then at the end of the week, the OHSA releases here's the seeding list, and here's that makes the schedule. And I'm assuming too that the schedule, the opponents will be set up by the seeding, and teams won't actually get a choice of who they're going to play. I've always thought that would be interesting if you give the top 4, top 8 seeds the choice to say we want to play against this team in the first round. Then it adds a little bit more to the whole thing than saying number 8 is going to play number 9 and number 7 is going to play number 10, etc.
Yeah, I think that makes it a whole lot more interesting, and from the perspective of the team that is being chosen by the higher seed, they can make this. Wow, these guys really have disrespected us by thinking that they can walk all over us, and that can be their battle cry for the whole week.
Yeah, and that's partly why I think the coaches don't like to do that, pick an opponent. Some do. Some are the type that, hey, we're going to pick this guy or this team. We're going to, they're confident they can beat them. But others don't like to do that because they don't want to get that opponent riled up that way. And so if the tournament organizers are designating here's who you have to play, then that takes them off the hook in that regard. But it's going to be really, different, obviously, and sort of exciting the way this is going to work out. And it may be a situation where the OHSA takes some of what happens this year and says, that worked out pretty well. Maybe we should incorporate it into future, seasons. Or maybe it'll be one of those things where everybody just wants to forget about it, forget that 2020 ever happened, and go on from there.
We had a caller that alluded to the fact that the OHSAA is going to have teams pay to go into the tournament. Have you heard anything of that nature, Doug?
Now that you mention it, I think I recall something to that effect, but I'm not sure. I'd have to go back to the release they sent out that had all the most of the information on it. I don't recall. I can't speak to that right now without checking back and referring on to the release they sent.
Okay, we're starting the mythical second half of the high school football season this week. And here we thought 10 weeks was the fastest, 10 weeks in all of sports. 6 weeks tends to be a little bit quicker. Go figure. For my money, the game of the week is going to be two of the smaller schools having at it. Warren JFK is going to travel to Garrettsville to take on the undefeated Garrettsville Garfield G-men. And what Garrettsville Garfield did to Brookfield, they beat them up physically and knocked their starting quarterback out of the ball game. Warren JFK has just been methodical in their type of games that they play. This is going to be an interesting test for both teams in week number 4.
Yes, it certainly will. And I think Garfield beat them last year when they came into Mullen Cup and won. So, yeah, it'll be a sort of a payback situation for Kennedy, but also, like you said, a really good test to see who's where, as far as standing in the season. They're both playing non-conference this year, so there's a case where they've both been able to beef up their schedules. And Garfield is interesting in that they're coming into the former AAC Blue, which is now the MVAC Gray, and Crestview just joined that league within the last 2 years. And it's interesting that two really, really strong football programs have come into that league or are coming into that league, which gives a heads up to champion Liberty LeBray, Campbell, Brookfield that you got to beef up your program if you're going to want to continue to compete with these two that either recently come in or going to be coming in next year.
A couple of other games that have really got my attention, and hopefully Fitch does not look at Harding's record and assume that it's going to be easy, because we made mention Harding's schedule. Benedictine and Massillon on their schedule. They're 1-2, but that's one of the toughest the 3 games that I think Harding has played in quite some time, and I think this is going to be a fascinating game. You made mention of Crestview. They're going down to East Liverpool to take on an undefeated East Liverpool Potters team that I think, or I'm sorry, a 2-1 Potters team. They lost to St. Clairsville last week. I think that's going to be a fascinating game. And another game that I'm looking forward, 2 other games that I'm looking forward to seeing. Jackson Milton taking on Western Reserve. We'll see if the Blue Jays 3-0 start is legit. And down in the Eastern Ohio Athletic Conference, Columbiana playing Southern Local. Both teams at 2-1. I think that game has a lot of value to it as well.
Yeah. The Jackson Milton Western Reserve game has happened before, where Jackson Milton's been 3-0, and they met Western Reserve in the first league game and didn't do so well. But the fact that they're rivals adds to it. And also this season, it's not Jackson Milton beating 3 non-conference teams that aren't very good, as has been in the past. They play conference opponents, so at least that strengthens that 3-0 mark a little bit, if you will. But still, that's going to be a tough one for them, and they're certainly hoping, and they think that they've got enough to beat their rival this time. I like Crestview, again, beefing up their schedule, and I don't know if East Liverpool was originally on that on their schedule, or it just was one of those that they had an open date after the league got done with the 6-week schedule, and they had an open date. East Liverpool had an open date, and they said, "Okay, let's do it."
I believe East Liverpool was supposed to be on their schedule this year.
Okay, so it already was somewhere, and they could have. I guess I'm saying is I like the way Crestview is not afraid to play bigger schools on occasion, testing themselves, and of course this is the perfect year to do that. It turns out. So yeah, that'll be a nice one too. A good test of where Crestview is. They, again, coming into that league, that's a good thing to do, to push yourself against larger schools, opponents, and see what your kids can do.
Doug Chapin, our guest on the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline. Doug, a couple more things before we let you go. The Big Ten, they're hemming and hawing about figuring out whether or not they actually want to jump into the fray. As it turns out, Ohio State, a couple of their stars have said, "The hell with it. You guys, you're fooling around way too much with this." Shaun Wade, the All-American corner, preseason All-American corner, he has said the Big Ten waited too long to decide, and Wyatt Davis, an offensive lineman and a potential first-round draft pick, just like Shaun Wade, he announced his decision, basically saying the same thing. So you get the feeling, even if the Big Ten reverses course and changes their mind, I've heard Michigan, Michigan State, and Maryland probably aren't fielding a team anyway. So it seems to me the Big Ten it's just going to be a half-assed move by the Big Ten if they change their mind and try to put something together real quick.
Yeah, I don't know really what they're going to do. I sort of followed what's going on, but I have no real idea what's going to happen. It's they're being cautious, about coming back, and I think rightly so. But because I think that's where college football in particular is going to be the most difficult to keep the COVID cases from popping up, and in fact almost be a sort of a hotspot kind of thing, because these are kids that are not getting paid, and they're it doesn't take more than a couple of them to go off campus or to do something, go into a situation where they could be infected and pass that to teammates, to opponents, So I think the colleges are under the impression, or I shouldn't say that, the colleges understand that part of their job is protecting these young people while they're away from home and on the campus, and I think they've decided that that's the best way to do that. Obviously, the other colleges and universities have decided to go ahead and play and try to keep things under control, and if they can do that, that's great. One thing I have found out is I really don't follow college football if Ohio State isn't involved. It's a lot like me in college basketball. If the Buckeyes are good, I follow it more closely. If they're not so good on a given year, I don't pay as much attention to it. But college football is quite diminished when the Big Ten is not involved, at least in my eyes. I mean, the SEC hasn't gotten started yet, but still, there aren't really a lot of good games on TV on the past weekend and this coming week.
Yeah, it's a little bit different when you don't have Ohio State and Michigan and some of the teams in the Big Ten. Not that they're nationally ranked or nationally talented. I think the only team in the Big Ten that can get away with saying that, and rightfully so, is Ohio State. But clearly, without Ohio State, I would be curious to see, are people in northeastern Ohio and frankly throughout the state of Ohio, are you actually watching college football as intently?
Well, there haven't been very many games on that are really good to watch yet. Like the other night, Saturday night, the 10 o'clock game, normally it's a Pac-12 or somebody like that. It was Kansas and whomever, and Kansas got beat. What was that? Some small school. I can't remember who it was. I find myself not really paying that much attention to it. I know they haven't really got going yet. It's mostly been what do they call the five conferences that aren't the Big Five?
Yeah, the mid-majors. Yeah.
Yeah. It's mostly been those kind of schools.
Sure.
And the Big 12, which is terrible outside of two schools. But it'll be interesting in the coming weeks whether college football fans who from this area who live in Big Ten country follow the SEC and the ACC and all that or not. The Big Ten schools have rabid fan bases, but I think they are very parochial in that they follow mostly the Big Ten. It isn't that much of a nationwide kind of following. I know I myself don't. To me, for the Buckeyes' goals every year are 1, beat Michigan, 2, win the Big Ten, 3, win a national title if they can. I don't worry so much about that as I do about winning the Big Ten, because that's I'm old enough that I grew up in the Woody Post era, and that's important to me. But I haven't followed it much at all, television-wise, or we put stuff in the paper that we think is important. But as far as the game so far, I haven't really seen that much that's exciting.
Doug Chapin, Vindicator and Vindicator and Tribune Chronicle sports editor, joining me on the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline. Doug, you saw the first week of the NFL season. Browns laid an egg against Baltimore. I'm trying to explain to everyone, relax. Things are going to get better. Unfortunately, first-year coach, no time, i.e. a preseason to work out some of the kinks. Unfortunately for the Browns, or fortunately, depending on how you look at it, a couple of days from now they play their second game, and then they'll be off for about 10 days, take a breather, and get ready for week 3, assuming we don't have any resurgence of COVID. And then you had the Steelers last night looking reasonably well in their victory over the Giants. What did you like and not like about week 1 of the NFL?
Well, if you're going into the season, considering the things you talked about, no OTAs, no anything, the situation would be worse for teams with new coaches, new quarterbacks, new players in key spots, and it would be perfect for teams that have everybody almost returning, which is the Baltimore Ravens. They got a few new players, but most everyone that's important was in position last year, so they haven't changed much, and so they are ahead of everybody else. They and whatever teams are in their same boat where they haven't changed much. So that's the worst case scenario for the Browns with a new coach and a new system, etc. They haven't had a chance to really put it in. I liked they ran the ball effectively until they had to get to where they had to pass, where the score dictated pass. So as long as they can stay in games, I think they can continue to run the ball effectively. I don't know what Odell Beckham is going on in his head. I don't know if anybody knows, including himself. But he certainly doesn't look like he's, that he wants, that he cares. My wife, she's watching the game and she's got him cut already, and just get rid of him and quit messing around. But he's got all that talent, and it just looks like it never shows up. And we talked about that with different offensive systems, and now it's just looking like no matter what the offensive system, it's just not happening. And they're of course the Browns get criticized if they pass too much to him, if they don't pass enough to him, no matter what. But he's got to produce for them to be effective. As far as the Steelers, I think that's the way they're going to win most games this year, the way they usually do it, is strong an opportunistic defense, I should say. I don't know whether they're as strong as they've been defensively as far as, giving up yardage, but they're much more opportunistic. They're getting big plays at big moments. And with Roethlisberger back, they should have enough offense to be successful. And the biggest problem for them could be, or the biggest concern for them is, I think, is going to be Roethlisberger's health. If he goes down again, and he's at that age where it could happen on any play, then they're going to be in trouble again.
The one guy that I was very impressed with last night in their victory over the Giants, and frankly, I think if he has the caliber of season he's capable of having, he'll take so much pressure off of Roethlisberger, and that's Benny Snell. I said when this kid was drafted by the Steelers, I thought this was perfect square in a perfect square hole for the Steelers. Benny Snell screams Steelers mentality coming out of college.
Now, Connor was in the same situation his first year or two, and then he sort of has tailed off a little bit. Snell is the one from Kentucky, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I mean, and they really need that. You're right. They need an effective running attack. The thing is, what sort of happened with Connor last year, I think, is the defenses did not fear either of the two quarterbacks after Roethlisberger, so that they ganged up on the run game, and said we're going to stop the running game. That remains to be seen if that's the case with Snell too. I think either one of those two guys is a good option when Roethlisberger or when your quarterback is playing well. If you get to a situation where Roethlisberger's out and they have to go to one of the other two, unless they really stepped up their game, the problems may still be there. The defenses are going to force the quarterback, whoever it is, to beat them, and But yeah, I like Snell in college. If he can be a good, he and Connor together could be a solid combination. But again, if they don't have the quarterback play, it's hard to run the ball.
Always a pleasure, Mr. Chapin. We will do this again next week at 1 o'clock.
All right. Take care.
You got it, sir. Doug Chapin, he is the sports editor of both the Vindicator as well as the Tribune Chronicle, and always good to get his take on things. We'll have him on every Tuesday at 1 o'clock. All right, stick around. More to come. The MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning hotline is open, 330-886-0813. I need your thumbs up and thumbs down in week 1 of the National Football League season. Now, it could be a player, could be a team, could be a front office member, could be the commissioner if you want. Give me a thumbs up and a thumbs down on week number 1 of the National Football League campaign. We will get your phone calls with that. Also, we'll continue to talk some high school football, some really good games, and we made mention of a few of those games coming up this weekend when we kick off the mythical second half of the campaign. And again, Doug Chapin letting us know that they got word of now 2 teams that have decided to opt out of the 2020 Ohio High School Athletic Association postseason. Sebring and Matthews have both opted out. How many teams of the 45 teams in the 3-county area, Trumbull, Mahoning, and Columbiana counties, how many of those teams are going to opt out? Should we give an over-under about 8? Doug Chapin believes somewhere in that vicinity, maybe even as many as 11 teams. It would be interesting. I mean, you take a look at the records of some of these teams, and you wonder, okay, how many 0-3 teams are going to want to tell their kids, hey, we're going to go into the playoffs? And we made mention of this yesterday when we had a roundtable discussion on. And from what I understand, Sebring did pass it on to the seniors and get their opinion on this. But I would hope that whichever schools decide, hey, we're opting out, we're not going to play in the postseason, I would hope that all of those schools are at least going to give the senior class and the senior players that opportunity to vent one way or the other. Because I think that decision should go to those kids because, well, it's going to be their last season for 99.9% of them. It's going to be the last season and the last opportunity to play football. very few of them will go on to play on Saturday in college football, whether it be D3, D2, FCS, or FBS. All right, so we'll, like I said, right now, as of now, 2 teams, and we have until Thursday to determine which teams are officially in or out of the postseason. As of right now, 2 teams have opted out of the postseason, and that would be Sebring and Matthews. All right, 330-886-0813. We're back in a bit. It is a Tuesday edition of Running Point on ysnlive.com.
It's storm season.
I think we're under the gun for some heavy storms over the next couple of hours.
And Storm Tracker 21 is ready.
This is probably the one we're keeping a closer eye on.
On air.
And locally, we're going to have a lot of eyes on our area.
Online.
All right, let's talk high-risk futurecast and the timing of this weather.
On social media and on our app.
Rain will come and go tomorrow. There'll be some dry intervals.
Stay ready with Storm Tracker 21.
The severe weather threat now through around sunset this evening.
Hi, I'm Colin Chupa. And I'm Kelsey Clem from K-Squared Marketing. Our boutique marketing firm specializes in media planning and buying, public relations, event marketing strategies, and strategic sponsorships. We can integrate our services with your existing game plan, or we can be your entire marketing team. Your goals, our game plan. Let's win together. Call K-Squared Marketing at 330-623-2730 or visit ksquared.marketing to learn more.
Hi everyone, this is DJ Yoakley with Your Sports Network. We appreciate your support of YSN and welcome you to the YSN family. Our broadcast streams are brought to you live at no cost to you by sponsors that are local to this community. Without the vision and generosity of our sponsors and partners, we would not be able to bring this game to you today. So please support the great businesses and leaders that are making this game possible. And if you're a business in need of great advertising and sponsorship opportunities, feel free to head over to our site for more information on the right fit for you. We are local, we are loyal, and we are live. We are YSN.
Ah, the details. Baird Brothers Fine Hardwoods is one fine ride. Perfect cornering, superb handling, sporty and stylish, power to spare, plus awesome mileage. Yeah, jaw-droppingly beautiful lines and well appointed with luxurious trim. Put more oomph in your life and start beholding the molding. Find your home's fine hardwood at BairdBrothers.com.
Welcome back to a Tuesday edition of Running Point on ysnlive.com. You know, Doug Chapin, when we had him on, he said something really interesting regarding the state playoffs. The state of Ohio and the OHSAA likes to have equality in terms of the number of teams in each region. So depending on how many teams in each division decide to bow out, this could be really interesting in terms of how they're going to redistrict or re-regionalize teams. So let's say that 20% of Division 7 decides, hey, we're done. We're not going to do this. Now, as I say this, let me dig out the official number that we have for Division 7, Region 25. There's 28 teams in the region, 12 teams encompass 12 local teams in the 3-county area of Trumbull, Mahoning, and Columbiana counties, north to south. 12 of the 28 teams are represented by our 3-county area of Trumbull, Mahoning, and Columbiana counties. Let's assume that 20% or 15 or 20% of Division 7 decides, yeah, we're not gonna jump into the playoffs. We're gonna opt out of the postseason. Well, now all of a sudden, you're going to have to figure out how many of the teams are in, and then you're going to have to divide that by 4 so you can try to get as many equal amount of teams in each of the 4 regions. Each of the 4 regions, you want to have an equal amount. So you have a starting point where instead of 16 teams over here and 24 teams over here, where you're going to have a completely different scenario in terms of how to go about the tournaments. You'd have one extra week for the 24 teams as compared to one fewer week for the field of 16. No, the OHSAA is going to determine, okay, how many of these teams are going to go into the playoffs, and now we're going to have to regionalize some teams, perhaps, and we're going to, get the amount of teams all in division, whatever division, and now we figure out, okay, there's going to be 104 teams in Division 6. So we're going to split them up amongst the 4 regions. That's 26 teams per region. Okay, so each region is going to have 26 teams, and now you start from that base. This is where we are going to be for the playoffs, and now you got to figure out a 26-team playoff that gets you from 26 to 1 within a certain amount of time, because as everyone has mentioned, they want the high school football season to end no later than November the 21st. Okay, so if the football playoffs are supposed to start, on October the 9th and 10th. Now we're looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 weeks of playoffs. You got 7 weeks of playoffs where the season ends. Drop dead date ending November the 21st instead of the regular date of December 4th and 5th, which bleeds into the high school basketball season. So in a lot of ways, I like what they're doing. And in a lot of ways, I certainly would like, in a perfect world, to have the football season end before the basketball season starts, so the multi-sport athlete isn't going to be that far behind the 8 ball. If someone's planning on playing basketball after football, if you have the football season end before the basketball season starts, and in this case they are, and they're not starting the basketball season until that next week. I believe the first opening weekend of the high school basketball season is the Friday after Thanksgiving, Black Friday, November 27th, and November the 28th, which is a Saturday. The end of the football season for all teams, the state championships will be the weekend before Thanksgiving. Friday, November the 20th, Saturday, November the 21st. We're all done with high school football, and then 1 week later, we open up the high school basketball season, the Friday and Saturday after Thanksgiving. I like that. I think it's a great move by the OHSAA. Now, can they do this full time? They're going to have to. They would have to certainly do a few interesting twists to this to do it. But I like this because, again, if your team goes to the state championship, and let's be honest, in this area, in our 3-county area, Springfield, they went to the state title game last year. Now, why not? They could go back to the state championship game again this year. They're certainly looking like a team that's on a mission. Warren JFK in Division 7, yeah, why not? They're certainly looking like a team that's on a mission, although I'm going to be real curious to see what kind of a game they have against Garrettsville Garfield on Friday night up in G-Men country. But there's a number of teams in this area that they have a shot at getting as far as the state title game. Okay, win or lose, you're going to be playing in a state title game. That means that your kids that are playing football that might try to play basketball after football season, at the very most, they'll be behind the 8 ball, and if they want to play in basketball, they would have to pretty much get everything down pat within a week to be on the basketball floor and see significant time, because the basketball season begins exactly 1 week after the football season ends. For some other teams that may not be fortunate enough to make a deep run into the postseason, or if you're Sebring and Matthews, and I'm sure there's going to be some other teams that are going to be jumping on this that are not going to go to the playoffs, well, as soon as the football season is over with, hey, we'll have our kids go on and they'll be ready to play basketball, and they're going to be behind a little bit, but by the time opening night comes around, Friday night, November 27th, or Saturday night, November the 28th, these kids should be ready to go, and maybe they're not going to be fully immersed into what is expected offensively and defensively, but they're going to have a much better opportunity and a much better chance to be fully submerged into what is expected from their basketball program. I like the idea that basketball is going to have everyone available, where in previous years, if your football team made a deep run or got into a state championship game, your basketball program kind of suffered if some of the football players were playing basketball after football season. Your basketball program suffered a little bit because, your football players are playing a week and a half, 2 weeks into basketball season. So kind of makes things a little swirly for the basketball program if the football program has a deep run. This year, the drop-dead date is 1 week before the season starts. So I like this idea from the OHSAA. Whether or not they can do this on a year-in, year-out basis, that's the million-dollar question. That is the million-dollar question. But this year, the state championships are going to be held the week before Thanksgiving, and that will end 7 consecutive weeks of playoff action, where the playoffs begin on the weekend of October 9th and 10th after a 6-game regular season, and the postseason ends with the crowning of a D1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 state champion the weekend of November 20th and November 21st. And the next Friday and next Saturday, boom, we go right into basketball. I like this. I like this idea from the OHSAA. I just, unfortunately, unless you were to move the basketball season back to the second week of December and then load up 22 games worth of basketball the second week of December to the second week of February, and now you got Mother Nature whispering in your ear about all of the cancellations with snow and whatnot. That's kind of a tough thing to do. But the good thing with this shortened season, at least this year, the football players, by and large, are going to be a lot more ready to go when basketball season comes around. Be a lot. There's going to be a much better chance of the football players having a much better feel for basketball early on in the season, even if the team does go to the state championship game. And I think that's one positive in a season of craziness, thanks to COVID. All right, 330-886-0813. MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline open for business. With you until 3 o'clock. Coming up in about 2:20, we will hear from the skipper from the YSU baseball program, Dan Bertolini. Hey, look, I mean, we're not playing YSU baseball anytime soon, but that doesn't mean that they're not practicing. Au contraire. These boys are practicing. There's no two ways about this. You got to get yourself prepared for the 2021 Youngstown State University baseball team and the baseball schedule. obviously, YSU is going to be it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be an awful lot of fun to take a look at the Youngstown State University upcoming season and what they're going to do. And you know, we talked with the last time we had the Skip on. He gave us a little insight that some of their non-conference schedule, they're going to go back to back to Hattiesburg, Mississippi, for a weekend series with Mississippi State, one of the elite programs in the Southeastern Conference. He also filled us in that a trip to Colorado Springs, Colorado, is in the fold, as YSU will be taking on the Air Force Academy for a weekend of baseball out in Colorado. So that'll be a lot of fun as well. But look, I mean, you've got this beautiful weather that's going on right now. Absolutely, you got to take advantage of this because before too long, they're going to be stuck in the Watts Center when the snow is flying and whatnot. And, you know, you want to take as much opportunity as possible to take advantage of this beautiful early fall weather and get out and try to get as much accomplished as humanly possible. And for the incoming freshmen, it's their opportunity to really get noticed and to essentially, especially this year, with so many kids coming back for their repeat senior year, there's going to be plenty of kids that are going to be a candidate for a red shirt. And I'm sure that there's going to be a lot of freshmen coming in wanting to make sure that the coaches are taking a really good look at what they're doing. And, you know, part of the college play and part of the college life is not only getting used to an upgrade in terms of talent. I mean, there's a huge difference between playing high school baseball and playing Division I baseball. There's a gigantic difference, and even for a mid-major program like Youngstown State, there's an enormous difference between high school baseball and Division I college baseball. And part of the college life, you got to get used to making sure that you're excelling in the classroom. I mean, let's face it, if you're not excelling in the classroom, especially at Youngstown State, you're going to be behind the eight ball. I mean, yesterday, Ron Strollo spoke to the Curbstone coaches, and one of the things that Ron was very happy with was the fact that the student athletes at Youngstown State University, in all of their sports, their student athletes posted a 3.26 overall grade point average. Now think about this for a second. College athletes, I mean, I'm going to be kind when I say this. College athletes at some of those big-time schools where championships are anticipated and you're essentially, you know, you're bringing that person on board to win a championship, and if they happen to take advantage of the opportunities of being a full-ride scholarship recipient and they decide that they want to try to get an education, okay, that's all well and good. But, hey, look, I mean, it's all about you giving us a championship, and that's the bottom line. For a mid-major like Youngstown State, 3.26, man, that's damn good. We're talking about every single athlete, every single player that is either on scholarship, full ride scholarship, partial scholarship, or walk-on. All of the athletes with a cumulative grade point average of 3.26. Man, that's amazing. And by the way, that's the very best during Strollo's years as the AD at Youngstown State University. So part of part of getting yourself acclimated to college is you got to live up to that. This isn't, and with all due respect to Youngstown State is not big time in terms of, hey, we're bringing you on to win a national championship, and we're bringing you on. We really don't care what your grade point average is. We just want you to win the national championship. Youngstown State's not that type of program. The big time programs, they want the hardware in the, big boy football or, D1 basketball, their national championship team, both men's and women's. I would be venturing to say that the grade point average is nowhere near 3.26. I'd venture to say that. I might be wrong on the women's side, but on the men's side, I would be willing to put up any amount of money that if I had a D1 national championship basketball team, the cumulative grade point average is nowhere near 3.26. Be willing to put ridiculous amounts of money on that. Same with football. Same with any sport. I'd be willing to say, hey, you're a national champion in a big boy or big girl sport. No way in hell you've got a grade point average of 3.26 on your team. I'd be willing to throw that out. So if you're YSU and you're going to YSU, you're going there to partial scholarship, full ride scholarship, all well and good, but the whole student body or student athletes at YSU posting a 3.26 grade point average, they take their grades seriously at YSU, and I applaud them. I applaud them for that. So one of the things that the incoming freshman baseball players are going to have to worry about really isn't about baseball. It's about, hey, get the grade point average up. Make sure that you're getting your stuff done in the classroom. And, oh, by the way, you want our attention, start showing us what you got. Because, again, this year, probably more than any other year, this year you're looking at a lot of potential redshirt kids. And that's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. I mean, there's plenty of seniors that have come back and decided they want to play their final year because, COVID forced a hand in what should have been a fun YSU baseball season. It gets cut short after 14 games. All right, most of the seniors decide they want to come back. Well, that pretty much means that there's not a whole lot of room. So there are going to be some kids that are going to get redshirted. And if you're an incoming freshman or if you're someone who's either a sophomore, a redshirt freshman, a true freshman, probably a sophomore and true freshman, you're probably going to want to step your game up because you don't want to be redshirted. Now, again, not that there's a bad thing about that because you get the extra year of eligibility left, but this YSU baseball team is going to be a whole lot of fun to watch. I think that this team could surprise an awful lot of people, both in the Horizon League and across the Midwest. I think this baseball program could very well surprise an awful lot of folks. So we'll see what happens. But this particular off season for YSU and the baseball program, pretty big. As a matter of fact, it's really big. So we'll catch up with Dan Bertolini. That'll be coming up momentarily in about 19 minutes or so. We'll take a timeout. On the other side, we'll open up the phone lines. The MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning hotline is open, 330-886-0813. I need your thumbs up and thumbs down for week one of the National Football League season. Who did you think could be a player, could be a team, could be a general manager, could be the commissioner? Who excelled the most in week one of the NFL season? And give me the downward trend. Who do you think really stunk the joint out or was deserving of the thumbs down in week one of the NFL season? We'll take your phone calls and talk some sports coming up in a bit. Stick around. It's a Tuesday edition of Running Point on ysnlive.com.
This is Tommy Clem, owner of WRS Insurance Solutions, reminding you that it is open enrollment for Medicare.
Now through December 7th, those who qualify can visit our local independent agency by calling us at 330-953-3722 or visiting us at wrsinsurancesolutions.com to learn more.
Good luck to all the student athletes in the Valley.
Attention all football fans. If you can't see your team play, come and dine with us and watch it live at Boardman, Canfield, or Cortland. Or staying at home, we'll deliver right to your door. That's Coca's Pizza. We serve it hot.
2020 will be a season like we've never seen before. But 21 Sports and YSN will be there for every key moment. The plays, the players, and the stories that will headline this season. Delivered by 21 Sports and YSN.
Planning a project around your home or rental property? Trust the electrical service to the local experts with 62 years of serving the Mahoning Valley. Joe Dickey Electric is your local go-to source for responsive, reliable residential electrical work. From everyday maintenance and repairs to new installations, electrical upgrades, and safety inspections, no job is too big or too small. Call Joe Dickey Electric today, 800-549-3976, or visit DickeyElectric.com. That's DickeyElectric.com.
Myers Family Insurance knows the importance of a great team.
Our team continues to grow to help you with your Medicare and retirement needs.
The annual election period is here, so it's all hands on deck to make sure your plans still meet your needs for 2020.
Call us today.
You may find yourself in some difficulty this winter. Don't get whacked by high heating bills. Call Michael at MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning. Michael is a trusted friend who will be able to help you with many things, like getting a 95% high-efficiency furnace this winter from Rude. Michael relies on Rude, so should you. Call MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning for a free estimate, 330-259-0486, and take care of your heating and air situation.
Baird Brothers remains your source for fine hardwood products. For the time being, we're open for customer pickup only on weekdays, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. and Saturday from 9 a.m. till noon. Place your order online at BairdBrothers.com. Baird Brothers, for the place you love.
Quality, customer service, and integrity. Those are the 4 words that have driven our success since 1957 at Joe Dickey Electric.
Joe Dickey Electric is one Mahoning Valley landmark business that stays current with the requirements of our customers. Family owned and managed, we are an electrical contractor and energy solutions provider. Every member of our team adds to his or her skill set through ongoing training. Residential, commercial, industrial, automotive, and more. We keep ahead of the needs of our customers with a fleet of more than 50 vehicles and 24/7 emergency service, so you're never left in the dark.
The 4M Company, being an architect and construction manager for over 40 years, has had the opportunity to use many different electrical businesses for our projects. The depth, quality, and knowledge and attention to detail displayed by Dickey Electric makes them stand out above all the rest.
For state-of-the-art expertise and a timeless commitment to our customers, contact Joe Dickey Electric. We are everything electrical.
Armstrong Local Programming has always delivered an exclusive and unique perspective on the very best events your region offers. High school sports, community events, parades, all your favorite shows from Armstrong are now calling the Neighborhood Channel their home.
Watch Out and About, Locally Speaking, and many other great local shows right here on the Armstrong Neighborhood Channel.
Find out everything that the Neighborhood Channel has to offer at ArmstrongNeighborhood.com. Spirit, town pride, local communities. Welcome to the neighborhood.
Welcome back to a Tuesday edition of Running Points on ysnlive.com. Ron Potesta with you. MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning hotline is open, 330-886-0813. That's 330-886-0813. 1-3. Yesterday, the Cleveland Browns released their kicker from Sunday's game, Austin Seibert. Well, guess what? Old Austin Seibert, he's a member of the Cincinnati Bengals. Yes, sirree, bub. The Bengals, who had problems of their own with place kicking, have picked up the services of former Brown Austin Seibert. And Austin Seibert will be in Cleveland on Thursday night as a member of the Cincinnati Bengals, and he will be trying to stick a dagger into the Cleveland Browns on Thursday. And wouldn't it be a Browns thing if Austin Seibert, kicked the game-winning field goal Thursday night in Cleveland? Granted, in front of 6,000 people, which really isn't a whole lot considering the stadium holds, 70,000. But, yeah, it would be typical Browns if Austin Seibert was the guy that kicked the game-winning field goal for the Cincinnati Bengals. But Seibert has been scooped up by the Cincinnati Bengals, and he is going to be kicking on Thursday night against the team that released him yesterday. Austin Seibert released by the Cleveland Browns. He is now going to be kicking against the Browns on Thursday night. That should be very, very interesting. Again, I made mention my thumbs up and thumbs down for week 1 of the NFL season. It's for teams this week for me. The thumbs up goes to the Washington Football Club. I didn't see this coming. I did not think that the Washington Redskins would win. And there I go again with saying the Redskins. I did not think the Washington Football Club would win in week number 1, especially when they went down 17-0. I thought that this team was toast. Ron Rivera got his team all jacked up, and they scored the final 27 points as they knock off the Philadelphia Eagles 27-17. The Washington football team is all alone in first place in the NFC East. Let that one sink in for a little bit. The Washington Football Club is in first place in the NFC East. I don't think it's going to last that long, but interesting that that they're in first place. They're the only team in the NFC East that won in week number 1. So the Washington Football Club, who, by the way, goes to Arizona in week number 2, and they'll probably be woken up in some sort of reality in week number 2. Washington gets my thumbs up. Thumbs down, unfortunately, to the Browns. Look, and I've said this, and I'll continue to say this. I'm willing to give the Browns a hall pass because you didn't have any OTAs. You didn't have a preseason. You had very little time for a first-year coach with a brand-new offensive and defensive scheme. You had very little time to get everything together. Completely understand that. Unfortunately, the performance should have been better. Now, I like the running attack. I don't necessarily like the two-headed monster. I think it should be more Chubb and less Hunt, but neither here nor there. They both were very good against a team that normally stops the run very well in the Baltimore Ravens. The passing attack was garbage. The defense was garbage. The special teams was garbage. The only thing that really tickled my fancy was the running attack. I thought that Chubb and Hunt both played very well, and I think that the Browns need to figure out what I've known for quite a while, that they are a run-oriented team and that you should set up the run or establish the run before you do your passing. Because this is not a pass-first football team. This is a run-oriented football team. This is an old-school football team because you simply don't have the quarterback and you don't have the stuff set up yet to have that passing attack work. Not to say that it won't. I'm just saying right now you don't have that. So do what you do best. And what the Browns do best right now is run the football. Take some time off the clock. Get that defense off or on the field as very little as possible, because that defense is a dumpster fire. That's a bad defense, especially the back seven. That back seven is putrid, absolutely putrid. Now, hopefully it gets better because, again, there wasn't a lot of time to work with OTAs and you didn't have the preseason and whatnot. But that back seven is straight garbage. Got to get them off the field as much as possible. And well, the only way to do that is to have long, sustaining drives that chew up an enormous amount of time. And one of the ways to do that is to make sure that Mr. Hunt and Mr. Chubb, preferably more Chubb than Hunt, they ground and pound and get it done. All right, so we'll talk a little bit about that. Again, my thumbs up, the Washington Football Club, thumbs down to the Browns. We haven't really talked much about baseball. The Indians and the Pirates are on opposite ends of the spectrum, although the Indians are looking more like the Pirates. They're on a 6-game losing streak, and I made mention the Central Division, that's gone. That's not going to happen. The Indians are now 5 games out of first place. Chicago beat Minnesota last night. They've run their winning streak to 5 games. They've won 9 of their last 10. Not only that, Chicago White Sox are the number 1 seed in the American League Central Division, in the American League playoffs, excuse me. They're the number 1 seed. If the playoffs were to start right now, the Indians would be playing the White Sox in a best of 3, all 3 games in the south side of Chicago. So how do you want this to go about? Well, the Indians don't have the Twins anymore. So they have no more games left with the Twins, thankfully. They do have 4 games left with the White Sox next week. Keep in mind, the following Sunday is the end of football season. So next week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, the White Sox come to town for a 4-gamer against the Indians, and then the Indians close out the season at home against the Pirates next Friday, next Saturday, and next Sunday. And then the playoffs start, assuming that the Indians can hang on to that final position, or maybe they can catch Minnesota and go to the finish in the top 4. By the way, Major League Baseball today announcing the schedule for the 2020 postseason. The American League inaugural wildcard series will begin on Tuesday, September 29th. The National League will begin theirs on Wednesday, September the 30th. Game 1 of the World Series, Tuesday night, October the 20th. And the World Series is going to have a neutral site. Major League Baseball has just announced that the World Series is going to be played in Arlington, Texas. So any hope of the Indians having a home game throughout the postseason, not going to happen. As a matter of fact, let me run down where everyone is going to be. The American League division is going to look like this. The American League Division 1 seed will be taking on the second wild card. That'll be in their home facility. 1 versus 8 in their home facility. The 4 versus 5 will be in the home of the number 4 seed. The ALDS, the winner of 1 versus 8 versus the winner of 4 versus 5, that best of 5 series will be played at San Diego from Petco. So the ALDS, the top tier, the winner of the 1 seed versus the 8 seed, they will take on the winner of the 4 seed versus the 5 seed. That best of 5 series will be played at Petco Park in San Diego, California. Best of 5, all 5 games, 3 minimum, 5 maximum, will be played at Petco. In the American League, the AL Division number 2, the 2 seed against the 7 seed, the AL wildcard number 1. And then the 3 and the 4, the AL division, the third division winner taking on the AL second place team. That would be 3 versus 6 and 2 versus 7. Those games will be at the home of the higher seed, best of 3. So minimum of 2 games at the higher seed, 3 games max. But then when you go to the ALDS, the winner of the 2 versus 7 and 3 versus 6 in the American League, that ALDS will be played at Dodger Stadium in Los Angeles, California. Best of 5 series, all 3 games minimum, 5 maximum will be played at Dodger Stadium. The ALCS will be played at Petco Park in San Diego, California. ALCS will be played at Petco Park in San Diego, California. In the National League, the top seed against the 8 seed, best of 3. All 3 games, max 2 minimum, will be at the home of the higher seed. The 4 versus 5 seed, that would be the second place winner, number 1 versus second place winner, number 2, 4 versus 5. The 4 seed gets every single game in the best of 3, whether it be 2 games or 3 if they need a deciding third game. The winner of the 1-8 matchup will take on the winner of the 4-5 matchup in the National League, and that best of 5 series will be played in Arlington, Texas, at the brand new ballpark for the Texas Rangers. That'll be your best of 5 NLDS. Meanwhile, the 2 versus 7 and the 3 versus 6. Best of 3 in the home of the 2 seed and the 3 seed. And then the winners of those 2 best of 3 series will hook up in the NLDS down in Houston. So the Houston ballpark, Minute Maid Park in Houston, will be hosting the National League Division Series, which would be the winner of the 2 versus 7 seeds and the 3 versus 6. So if it's chalk, it'll be the 2 seed versus the 3 seed, best of 5 NLDS down in Houston. The NLCS will be played in Arlington. NLCS and the World Series will be played in Arlington. So again, Major League Baseball has just made this announcement. The postseason, as far as home field advantage goes, other than the best of 3, if you're a top 4 seed, you get to play in your home stadium. After that, you're on the road. It's all neutral site. The American League will be playing the ALDS in San Diego or Los Angeles. The ALCS will be played in San Diego. In the National League, you're going to be either playing your NLDS games in Arlington or Houston, and the National League Championship Series, as well as the World Series, will be played in Arlington, Texas. That is the latest from Major League Baseball. Again, the American League inaugural Wild Card Series will start Tuesday, September the 29th. The 1 seed will play the 8. The 2 plays the 7. The 3 plays the 6. The 4 plays the 5. National League first Wild Card Series openers will be on Wednesday, September the 30th. Again, 1 playing the 8, 2 against the 7, 3 against the 6, 4 against the 5. When those best of 3 game series are done with, then you will go to neutral sites. Again, in the American League, the 1-8 winner will take on the winner of the 4-5 seed, and those 2 will hook up in San Diego for a best of 5 ALDS. The winner of 2 versus 7 will take on the winner of 3 versus 6 in the ALDS at Dodger Stadium. In the National League, the winner of 1-8 takes on the winner of 4-5. That'll be played in Arlington. And finally, the 2 versus 7 winner will take on the 3 versus 6 winner in a best-of-5 series down in Houston. The ALCS will be played at Petco in San Diego. The NLCS will be played in Arlington, both best-of-7 series. And the World Series is set to begin on Tuesday night, October the 20th, in Arlington, Texas, the home of the Texas Rangers. A potential Game 7 of the World Series would be scheduled for Wednesday nights, October the 28th. So if everything works out, knock on wood, pray to the baseball gods, small g, or more importantly, pray to the only God, big G. We won't have baseball in November this year, thankfully. Everything will be done on Wednesday, October the 28th, probably because 6 days later, there's something pretty big going on in this country that supersedes any sport. And I think Major League Baseball understands that. That's why they want to have the World Series done before Election Day and before November 1. So there you go. The Major League Baseball postseason schedule is out, and other than a best-of-3 series, if you're among the top 4, and let's be honest, Pirates aren't going to be in the playoffs this year. They're probably going to be they have a better chance at scoring the number 1 pick in the draft in 2021 than they do at getting into the postseason. Unless the Indians finish in the top 4, and the only way they can do that is if they overtake whoever finishes in second in the American League Central. And right now, it looks more and more like Chicago is going to win this division. Hopefully, the Twins can reel them back a little bit, but we'll see what happens there. But the postseason is, for the most part, it is going to be neutral site in warm weather. Now, that kind of opens up Pandora's box. And I'm really, really hoping that Major League Baseball does not allow this to be a yearly thing. I'm hoping that Major League Baseball understands that the small market organizations, i.e. the Indians and some of the other small market teams, when they're in the postseason, they kind of rely on sellout crowds and large amounts of money in the gates, because that's what makes the that's what makes those clubs a little bit more money for the general manager and all the other folks to spend. And I understand that this is the pandemic year, the year of COVID, and you're probably wanting to have a postseason in which you're going to be able to have warm weather, and that's the reason why they're doing this. Look, Southern California in October, yeah, thank you. I'll take that. South Texas or Central Texas in October. I lived in the state of Texas. October is absolutely gorgeous weather down in the Lone Star State. In Central Texas, I lived in Abilene, which is a clear shot 3-hour due west of the ballpark in Arlington. So yeah, October, beautiful weather in Texas. Absolutely gorgeous weather. You're not going to get frozen. You're not going to have snowflakes running around anytime soon. And oh, by the way, if it's insanely hot, you've got the retractable roof in Texas. So there you go. Again, I under the circumstances, I like this. I like the idea that the American League teams are not going to be playing in American League cities. Go out into Southern California. And I'll tell you something right now. As an Indians fan, if the Indians were to get into the ALDS, and that's a fish of an entirely different color. But if the Indians get into the ALDS, I love their chances from a pitching standpoint, because Dodger Stadium and Petco Park are pitchers' ballparks. And there's no two ways about this. The Indians have the best pitching in all of Major League Baseball. So if the Indians can find their way, first of all, if they can find their way into the postseason, secondly, if they can hit and find their way out of the wild card series and get themselves into the ALDS, whether it's in San Diego or in Los Angeles, I love the matchup for the Indians. I don't care who they play. I love the Indians in the ALDS and the ALCS if the Indians get that far, because both Petco and Dodger Stadium are pitchers' ballparks. They're pitchers' parks. Yeah, I love that opportunity in a big, big way. And, oh, by the way, because you're going to have games on the West Coast, that means that there's a pretty good chance we're going to be seeing afternoon baseball. And that's not a bad thing either. Afternoon baseball in the postseason takes me back to when I was a kid. And if you're someone who's in their late 40s, 50s, and older, you can understand that. There's something pretty special about postseason baseball in the afternoon in October. Granted, it's not home field advantage, but at least this year, they're under the circumstances, they're doing a really nice job. Hopefully, fingers crossed, hopefully this is not a yearly thing. But when we get closer to the end of the season, we get Burkhardt on, Kevin Burkhardt, who is doing double duty right now with not only doing Major League Baseball, he's also running around crazy doing NFL games on Fox. By the way, he called the Washington come-from-behind victory over the Philadelphia Eagles. He and his partner, Moose Johnston, Daryl Johnston, the former Cowboys fullback, that's his partner for the Fox football broadcasts. So hopefully before the end of the baseball season, we'll get Kevin on and we'll do a little double duty. And now that he's out in California, I think this suits him really well as well. Look, having the American League playoffs out in Southern California, great move. Having the National League playoffs in the state of Texas, again, home field advantage, you're taking all the home field advantage away from all of the teams. So the Dodgers and the Padres, who, by the way, have a pretty interesting rivalry, but I mean, we'll get into that when we have Kevin on at some point. Those teams are going to be shipped out of Southern California and come playoff time, and they'll go into the Lone Star State where the American League teams are going to be moving way, way, way out west into Dodger Stadium and Petco in San Diego, and should be fun, should be entertaining. And like I said, I love this from an Indian standpoint, assuming, and it's a huge assumption, assuming the Indians get into the playoffs because they look like crap right now, assuming that they can get, if they get into the playoffs, assuming that they can win their wild card series opener, again, a large assumption. If they were to get into the ALDS, whether it's San Diego or Los Angeles, I am all on board with the Indians because those two ballparks are pitching ballparks. Absolutely. So, I love the idea of the American League going out west and the National League moving to the Lone Star State, especially since there's no National League baseball in Texas. Houston was a National League team. Now they're an American League team, and the Texas Rangers have always been an American League team. So there you go. All right, so the postseason schedule has been announced, and again, for the Indians, they're holding on to the 8th spot right now, and you better start winning some games. Bottom line, they had an off day. Now it's time to get ready and get going, because here's the rest of your schedule. 2 games against the Cubs tonight and tomorrow night at Wrigley. A 4-game series against Detroit, and the Indians need to step on the gas. These are the final 6 road games of the regular season. Then the Indians return home for the final 7 games of the season. A 4-game series, a huge 4-game series against the Chicago White Sox Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday at Progressive Field. And then the Pirates come to town Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And who knows, Pirates might be doing some spoiling for the Indians. We'll see. And then the playoffs will start. They'll start on Tuesday, September the 29th, with the wild card best of 3. The top seed takes on the 8, the 2 versus the 7, the 3 versus the 6, the 4 versus the 5. Top 4 seeds get home field for minimum 2, maximum 3 games. So there you go. All right, 330-886-0813. That's 330-886-0813. Dan Bertolini has decided that he wants to come on at 2:40, so that's why we're hanging on, and we're talking some other things other than YSU baseball. But we'll get Skip on at about 2:40, and we'll get his take on everything that is going on in the fall practice. And again, keep in mind, we made mention that roster's crowded. That is a large amount of kids on that YSU baseball team. So, the coaching staff has some decisions to make. Yeah, you want to have all your kids playing on a year-in, year-out basis, but Youngstown State is going to have an interesting dilemma on their hands where they are probably going to be in the market for redshirting some kids. And that's not a bad thing, especially if you want to have a kid for 4 years and you know that kid's not in your plans for year 1. Play him as many games as the rules would stipulate, and then you put a red shirt on him. I think it's a win-win situation. And again, the coaching staff has some decisions to make because, well, there's plenty of kids that are going to be candidates for that. So we'll talk with Dan Bertolini, and we'll get his opinion on that. That's coming up in a bit. It's a Tuesday edition of Running Point on ysnlive.com.
21 News.
Let's get right to our top story tonight.
More experienced reporters.
A new Wilmington restaurant.
GM Lordstown.
Telling more local stories.
We'll look at efforts boy is recovering from a broken
around our valley.
Community in Niles. We are here in Youngstown, right up.
Because you expect.
It's important for everyone. No place like home.
More local news.
In Mercer County Court.
21 News is our valley's #1 local news.
Welcome home to a home made homier with Baird Brothers Fine Hardwoods. Inspiration starts at BairdBrothers.com and is turned into reality when high-quality hardwoods are delivered right to your home. Baird Brothers has the latest design trends, shiplap and skinny lap interior siding, antique oak rustic flooring, and, well, you'll find them all at BairdBrothers.com. Ordered easily, delivered conveniently, enjoyed comfortably. BairdBrothers.com.
Attention football fans, order Coca's Pizza tailgate package for only $54.99. You'll receive 24 slices of our delicious cheese pizza, 20 jumbo wings, and 2 of our famous foot-long pepperoni rolls. Coca's Pizza, we serve it hot.
Hi, this is Tommy Clem, owner of WRS Insurance Solutions.
WRS Insurance Solutions is a local independent agency that specializes in life, Medicare, long-term care, and disability products. Call us at 330-953-3722 or visit us at wrsinsuranceSolutions.com to learn more.
Good luck to all the student athletes in the Valley.
Your Armstrong services are more important than ever. There are more and more connected devices in the home these days. To get the most out of your experience, you need a network that is always getting better. You deserve superior performance, and that's what Armstrong offers every day. Whether you're working from home, enjoying your favorite content together, or simply catching up while apart, count on Armstrong to keep you connected to what matters most.
Hello, I'm Greg Burbick with G. Burbick Farms. For the last 100 years, my family has farmed in the Columbiana and Mahoning counties. I began raising cattle in 1996 with the goal of providing a better product for you and your family on the dinner table. Our grass-fed and grain-supplemented Black Angus beef are raised with no hormones, steroids, or antibiotics. We're known for our hometown-friendly service and incredible tasting products. We're locally owned and have customers across the tri-state area. Our products go from our farm to your family. Stop by our farm on New Buffalo Road or visit us on the web at gburbickfarms.com. Don't forget to like us on Facebook. G. Burbick Farms, it just tastes better.
To help you with your Medicare needs.
Myers Family Insurance looks forward to helping you now for years to come. So call our family today and remind them how cute we are.
Myers Family Insurance continues to be the area's resource for all your Medicare and retirement needs. Call today, 330-286-3044.
Welcome back to a Tuesday edition of Running Point on ysnlive.com. And joining me on the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline, the manager of the YSU baseball program, Dan Bertolini. Dan, how are you today?
I'm doing fantastic. What a great day.
Man, I'm telling you, it's fall practice. You get the best of both worlds. You get some really nice weather by and large, and you get an opportunity to see those freshmen that you've recruited for the first time. Tell us a little bit about what you guys are doing as the early stages of fall practice is commencing, Skip.
Yeah, it's great to be out here. The weather's been just fantastic for us so far, and just getting a chance to really kind of get our guys back in the groove, because a lot of our guys are in different parts. Some of them played this summer. Some of them weren't able to play with COVID and everything. So some of these guys haven't played in the game since March. So trying to get everyone back on the same page. We started the first 3 weeks. We've done positional work where our guys will come out and work in their defensive groups, and then they hit 3 days a week. Our pitchers have been going, small parts, 20, 25 minutes every day, playing catch, and they've got into their second bullpen this week. So we'll start team practice as a group next Monday, and look forward to kind of getting going. That'll be sort of day one moving forward with our inter squad and fall season.
Skip, you mentioned the positional workout for defensive purposes. I'm curious, do you have any utility players that you're asking them to do double duty, both infield and outfield?
We have a few guys. I mean, we have limited time in the fall in our individual session. So we'll try to just really focus them on one spot, either infield or outfield. Once we start our team practice, then we have more hours in the week to work with our guys, so we'll have a better chance to kind of move them positionally. I'm sure we've had a few guys. Jeff Whaler's been a guy. He was an all-conference player in the outfield for us. He was an all-conference player at second base for us. We've had Blaze Glenn's been a guy that's played both spots, been an all-conference right fielder and an all-conference third baseman. So that's the kind of guys that we recruit with those, versatility to play multiple positions. So really, once we get into practice, we'll be able to do that stuff.
Who has stepped out and really stepped up their game early on? I mean, this is so early, but who's caught your eye in terms of the fielding and the hitting to this point?
Well, I think realistically for our team, I mean, we return every starter. We return all of our players. So a lot of these guys are not really not really going to surprise you much. They've been prepared. I think all of our guys look really good. I thought some of our young guys that have, Turner Draws has had a really good start offensively. I thought Don Buckos looked really good. Jeff Whaler, but it's still so early. Some of these guys haven't had the reps that they needed because of the summer and the way things were. So we're taking it slow and just kind of getting their feet wet and getting back into it.
I made mention before I had you on that the program is in really good shape, but long term, the whole thing with COVID might be a blessing in disguise for a program like Youngstown State, where you're going to have a ton of kids playing baseball this year. You have an opportunity to redshirt some kids that would normally not be redshirted at all, and that could really pay dividends for this ball club down the road.
Yeah, I mean, if you really look at our lineup from last year, we started a freshman in left field and a junior in center and a junior in right, and those guys are all the same age. They're still junior freshmen. Our infield, Blaze is a senior, but he plays third, and then we have a freshman, Braden O'Shaughnessy, that played third base for us. Our shortstop is a sophomore. Our second baseman's a junior. Our first baseman is a sophomore. So all those guys basically we're going to return for at least one more, if not some of those guys 2 more years. So it does make it challenging, but we're able to kind of, some of those guys don't have to play right away. Some of our incoming guys, we don't have a lot of incoming position players. Really Chase, Franken, and Andrew Russell. Andrew Russell plays both ways. He's going to pitch in and hit for us, but he's positionally probably not going to play much. So we don't have a lot of guys coming in that are going to, have to play right away. From that standpoint, we don't have a deep class positionally for this year because we have so many guys returning for the next year or two.
What are a couple of things that you, as the manager of this team, what are your expectations or what are your hopes for this fall practice? What are you looking to try to get from these kids as you go through the fall and play baseball until the snow starts to fly?
Yeah, I mean, first things first, we want to stay healthy. We have a really veteran, older group of a lot of guys that have played a lot of innings for us in the last 3 or 4 years. Some of these guys 6 years. So, being healthy and going into the winter is the most important thing, and that's why we've kind of taken it slow. We just don't want to push guys too fast and pull a hammy or, hurt their arm or whatever. So we're going to try to take it slow, but we also want to continue to improve. And I told you guys, every day we just got to get a little bit better because I think we have a really talented roster, and I think you saw, kind of just the tip of the iceberg last year. It's just a matter of tweaking and perfecting and just really getting better at our craft. And we're fortunate. We have just a fantastic group of leaders. When you have 5 20, 24-year-olds on your roster, it makes things a lot easier. I mean, these guys know what they need to do. They can control and command the team. And it's just, the leadership starts from the top all the way to the bottom. And we got a great group of guys that like to work. So it's made my job really easy so far this fall.
Well, the coaching staff, everyone is going to be relying on that great senior class. And like you said, you've got guys that can police the clubhouse and make sure that everyone is on their P's and Q's. So you guys are able to do your job, and that's trying to instill as much knowledge and as much of this game as you can possibly give these kids for the fall.
Yeah, I mean, that's really that's the ultimate goal is for the players to kind of police themselves, and it's taken some time for us to get there. But the less that we have to do and the more ownership that these guys are able to take for themselves and for the team. And a lot of guys are prideful. We have 5 6-year seniors that could have moved on and could have went to the workforce and got a job and been really successful, whatever they're going to do. But they, it means a lot to them. It means a lot for them to represent Youngstown State and come back and play. And they don't take that lightly, that they got an extra shot to play another year. So they're going to make the most of it and make sure everyone else is on that same page and making the most of it as well.
Skip, let me ask you, when you are finished with the fall practice, what is winter going to entail for you guys? Just in the weight room, trying to get yourselves strengthened out? What are some of the things that you're going to want to take care of in the wintertime in those couple of months before they get ready for the start of the 2021 college baseball season?
Yeah, so we'll finish up like right around Halloween, and then we'll go back into our individual work. So there might be some guys we shut down. There might be some guys that we saw some things that happened throughout the fall that we want to tweak or get better at, or especially some of our younger guys, we might do some more instructional stuff, and then we'll give them an off-season program because the way that the baseball season is set up, it's very strange. The most part of the season, the most important part is that winter time, and they have to do all their stuff on their own because we go home for winter break, right before Christmas, and they don't come back till like January 14th, and we start practices January 25th or so. So you got a couple of weeks really to get them back in shape, and then you start team practice, and we start February, I believe it's 19th. So that bulk of that time is a lot of it's on their own, but we'll give them the workout programs. They lift right now 3 times a week, and then during the off season they'll lift 4 times a week. So they'll keep busy and get themselves prepared, and then be ready to go when we get back after Christmas break's over.
It's kind of an interesting way to put the onus on the kids, and the message, I suppose, is all right. How many of you are going to take this seriously? And if you're taking it seriously, then we expect you to be in really, really good shape when we start practices again in mid-January.
Yeah, it really doesn't make a whole lot of sense, honestly, and that's why there's been a push from the NCAA, or from the Coaches Association, the ABCA, to push our season back and start, not until mid-March, and give us good 5 weeks of practice before we start the season, and then lengthen our season out and play into the summer. Just because, one is the preparation part, is making sure that we can get these guys prepared and we don't get guys injured because we're playing, so early and in cold weather a lot of times. It gives us a chance to maybe be a little bit warmer, and then allows us to really, have them monitor, we can monitor their development and practice. So I think you might see that in the next year or two, a real big push for college baseball to be pushed back, especially now the draft is pushed back even further into July. I wouldn't be surprised if college baseball kind of moves that way and plays a little bit deeper into the summer and kind of eliminates some of the summer ball stuff a little bit. But I think just for player safety, I think it's a good idea.
Would you expect some pushback from some of those southern schools? Because, let's be honest, they have an unfair advantage where, if you're in the SEC or if you're in the Pac-12, especially the Arizona States, the USCs, the UCLAs, and let's be honest, they're going to be playing 12 months out of the year because the weather is good enough to play 12 months out of the year. Would you expect the southern schools to say, yeah, we kind of like where it is right now?
Yeah, I think cost is going to be a big part of this, just with the landscape of college athletics and athletic departments, and we've seen some programs have to be shut down and different things with this whole football and everything else that's going on. I could see them moving into it because then in mid-March, we're able to play. We don't have to travel as much. We can play, locally, whether it's Pitt or Kent State or Akron. A lot of schools can play a little bit closer in those first 4 weekends, those non-conference weekends where you're not having to travel to Mississippi State or Florida State or wherever we've been. You can save some money that way. So I think a lot of it's could be a health issue, and then you got some cost issues because some of those southern schools, they pay people to come in and play, so they might not have to do that if they can play a little bit more locally at that time.
Dan Bertolini, our guest. Couple more things before we let you go. Obviously, when we talk YSU baseball, the number one thing everyone loves to talk about is leading up to the baseball season, and that's the breakfast. Can you give us any particulars on when it's going to be, and more importantly, who the guest is going to be?
Well, I think at this time it's a little up in the air, just with the precautions and the everything going on with COVID. We just want to make sure that we can provide a really safe and it's been a great fundraiser for our program and a great opportunity for the community to help our program, but we also want to make sure it's safe. So we're kind of in the process of figuring out what the date might be, what it might look like, but hopefully in the next couple of weeks we'll have a little bit better of an answer. But we're trying not to rush it. We don't want to make any rush decisions, and we want to, make the best possible one for everyone's safety, our players included, and the community. So I guess we'll kind of see how it plays out. But I think as of right now, it's scheduled to be that last week in January. The last Saturday in January, I believe, is the date for the breakfast. But there might be some flexibility there, so we'll just have to see how things play out. As you know, everything changes on a dime every day. So we just take day by day and try to figure it out as we get closer.
Yeah, and as we get closer and closer to the regular season, I know that you let us know that you guys will be playing down in Starkville, Mississippi again as you take on Mississippi State. You also let everyone know that you'll be playing the Air Force Academy out in Colorado Springs, Colorado. Any other tidbits you want to give up on your schedule?
No, I mean, everything's is so in flux with the way things are going. We just, our fingers are crossed that we're able to play those games in Mississippi and in Colorado Springs. But as of right now, I feel like we're heading in the right direction for us to have a full spring season. But you just don't know. So I try not to make any kind of hints or tips moving forward, just because you just don't know. Everything's been pretty crazy the last couple months, as you see with Ohio State and the Big Ten. So we're just trying to figure out. We're crossing our fingers that everything's going to go smoothly, and we'll be ready to go opening weekend to go ahead and travel and play some baseball.
I should probably ask, being that we're still in the COVID world, although the cases are down dramatically in some respects. What are you guys doing in terms of testing for these kids? Are they tested on a weekly basis?
So there's different rules and protocols involved. We follow the governor's rules in the NCAA. So each sport's a little bit different. Once you start practicing, it's 25% of your roster, I believe, every 2 weeks. It's random testing, so they'll test our guys just to be safe. And just like everybody else, we have health screenings that we do on a daily basis where our players have to, have a temperature check. They have to fill out a survey. We wear masks at practice every day, whether we're practicing, playing, whatever. Our guys are constantly, if we're around each other, have to have their masks on. So we're taking every safety precaution possible to make sure that we have a clean season. And knock on wood, we've been very fortunate, so far. So I think our athletic department in Ethan they've done a fantastic job of making it a super safe environment. And we were really out ahead of the curve in the summer. And I'm looking forward to. I know from our end, we feel really good about where we're going as far as COVID goes. So I'm looking forward to getting back out to practice.
Well, you guys should be really looking forward to what you're seeing right now from your baseball team as well. I think that the 7-7 record before COVID shut down the baseball season. I think that's a sign of a small sign of things to come. I honestly think you guys are going to be doing a whole lot better than 500 in the 2021 season. We just need to knock on wood and hope that COVID is not a thing next spring when you guys take the field, because I'm expecting big things from the baseball team.
Absolutely. We just try to take it one day at a time and control what we can control, which is how hard and how focused we are at practice every day. And I know good things are going to happen for this group. They've just, they impress me every day with the way that they handle themselves and how they get their work done on a daily basis. It's been really fun to be around this group. So I'm looking forward to kind of seeing all the hard work that we've done and these guys have done in the past 5 or 6 years, pay off here in the spring season where we get an opportunity to hopefully compete for a Horizon League championship. So looking forward to it.
Hey, Dan, can we get you on weekly up until Halloween when you guys call it quits for the fall ball?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, we'll get you on every Tuesday at about 2:40 if that's all right.
I'll have to double check. I got to check our practice time, but I'll get back to you and let you know what time works out best.
That sounds great, Skip. Look forward to hearing from you, sir.
All right, sounds good. Good talking with you.
All right, man. Dan Bertolini, he is the manager of the Youngstown State University baseball team. One final note, and this was about 20 minutes ago. Mary Kay Cabot, who covers the Cleveland Browns. She has wrote a column in Cleveland.com. Mary Kay Cabot tweeted this out. The Browns should let Odell Beckham Jr. seek a trade if they remain committed to Baker Mayfield. And one report says they're already shopping him. Doesn't surprise me. I'll just leave it at that. It doesn't surprise me. It seems to me that the relationship or lack thereof between Baker and OBJ has been forced, and it looks like that on the field. I'll be curious to see if the Browns do indeed trade Odell Beckham Jr., and if they do, what they can get for OBJ. That'll do it for a Tuesday edition of Running Point. We will talk tomorrow. Power Hour is coming up next.